The saying goes, Hollywood is where a star is born, but not every star is born along this boulevard. Some stars are made just a stone's throw away from the glamour and bright lights at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. In NASCAR, you won't find glitz, but you will find grit. Grit that turns underdogs into champions, and grit that slays Goliath not once, but 4 times. Hollywood may be where a star is born, but here, this is where the fantasy, the NASCAR dream, becomes a reality. Welcome to Auto Club Speedway of Southern California, and welcome to NASCAR Nationwide Series Countdown. The reality of this Nationwide Series season so far is this: you don't want to be a cup driver. How will we categorize the winner of race number 5? This one from a 2-mile track. It's a place that's been dominated by Joe Gibbs Racing. They've won 7 in a row, and today one of their drivers, Joey Logano, will start on pole. Danica Patrick is making her 3rd start at this track, but this is a return of sorts for her because she didn't race here at all in 2011. Today she'll start 21st. In the 10th spot, you'll find the driver who walked away 1 week ago feeling like they'd given a win away. That is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Now, if Stenhouse gave it away, he gave it to this guy, Elliott Sadler, who starts 5th today. And after a very fast start to this season, Sadler has us asking, can he be stopped?
It's been a long time since Elliott Sadler won a NASCAR Nationwide Series race.
You are the man today, yeah! Yeah, yeah, baby! Yeah!
The world's last great Coliseum here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Elliott Sadler has been extremely fast.
Sadler is now the leader. Second win of the Nationwide Series for Elliott Sadler.
Hell yeah!
What a great day. This is Bristol. I wanted this one worse than anything because I love this racetrack so much.
Your mama's here for this one, man. That's awesome.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
After what I've been through the last couple years in racing, this damn sure feels good.
Earlier this weekend, Elliott Sadler told me he hasn't felt this confident since 1995 when he's driving late models at South Boston Speedway. What's this been like for you?
Well, it's been a lot of fun. These guys have really given me some good race cars week in and week out, and we've been fast right off the truck at a lot of places we've been. And we just got such a good group effort going on, and Luke's doing a great job. He's got a good group of guys around him, and we're just all pulling in the same direction. And I think that's where a lot of our confidence comes from, a lot of our speed comes from. And we just got to keep the ball rolling. It's a long season ahead of us, man. We just got to keep the pedal to the metal.
You experienced a bit of a hiccup, I would say, in practice with the splitter bottoming out. Spent a lot of time in the garage trying to fix that, sacrificing time you could have spent working on the balance. How much of concern is that going into today's race?
Well, you know, yesterday did not go like we planned, and we definitely struggled a little bit yesterday, but the guys really pulled together. We learned some things yesterday during practice. We came up with a great plan last night, and this morning made a lot of change. I mean, changed everything pretty much but the steering wheel this morning. Got a pretty decent qualifying effort out of it, 5th. I was happy with that. We feel like we're in the middle of the road right now. We can make the car tighter. We can make it looser. Not really sure what it's going to do with this new tire in the sun, but I'm very, very proud of my guys' effort so far. So we can sneak out of here with a pretty good finish and keep some momentum for this 2 weeks that we're going to have off. We'll feel very, very good about it.
Best of luck.
Thanks, Mike.
Adding to his confidence, Nicole, remember, back in 2004, he won a cup race here.
Indeed he did, Mr. Massaro. Thank you very much. Well, from the garage to pit road, and if you travel down pit road towards pit in, you'll find the ESPN Pit Studio. That is where we are. I'm Nicole Briscoe inside with Mr. Dale Jarrett, Brad Doherty, and Marty Smith down there on the end. Do not tell me that Elliott Sadler is not committed to this series. Do not tell me that he doesn't want to win this championship, because what did he say last week? There is blood in the water, and guess where he said it? Victory lane.
That's right. He's validated and vindicated right now, Nicole. After several years of driving 3-year-old cars for owners that didn't want him in the Cup Series, he is back from a confidence perspective. It's the Elliott Sadler we've always known, and it's wonderful to see. And you can tell that he's having fun again. That was the thing for him. He had to relearn the joy of the dream, and he's done that.
Yeah, a lot of people mistake his easygoing attitude as that he doesn't have this fire inside of him to win races and win championship. This is a very determined young man with a lot of talent, and I think that we're seeing that more now. He has the people around him. He's excited about what he's doing. He realizes that last year they went at it probably the wrong way. They were just trying to accumulate points, thinking that that would be enough with his competitive spirit and style. And they really got outshone by Ricky Stenhouse and lost that championship.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, if you remember Elliott Sadler in the last part of his Cup career, he was handpicked by Ray Evernham to drive one of his race cars. Then Ray sold the race team. George Gillette came in and bought it. Elliott became a lame duck. And I'm going to tell you what I admire about Elliott Sadler most of all is through that period of time, he remained the utmost professional. He never said one bad thing, and he was in a terrible situation. The thing about Elliott Sadler that gets knocked to the side is his ability. This young man is a tremendous race car driver. And just like Dale said, he's an easygoing, he's a great guy, he's very affable. But when you close that window net with him in that race car, he can flat get it done. And I don't think we talk about his ability enough because of those things.
And
don't
you
let
guys,
that all shucks attitude.
Yeah, you guys are both former professional athletes. You know, in the consummate show me, don't tell me, what have you done for me lately, businesses like this is, it's the worst thing you can be is an afterthought.
Well,
Elliott Sadler has been an afterthought
and
for the last
perhaps that's why we saw what we did last week out of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., because it is so much about what have you done for me lately. And last week we talked, all last year about the young guy who was doing better than the veteran. That's not happening right now.
Yeah, it really isn't. But I think the big key here is that we have two very good race drivers. And Ricky Stenhouse, he's proven what he's worth on the racetrack, but I think he also, what we saw last week, is maybe needs to grow up a little bit in some areas and take his complaints, if he has those, because your crew chief's going to win some and lose some from you.
Yeah.
But let's do this behind closed doors, not out in front of everybody.
Yeah, I agree with that. But the thing I like about what I saw last week is that he's got a little bit of that hacked off in him. I want to see that in a race car driver. I want to see that in my athlete. He takes it personally. He wants to be successful. He won a championship last year. He wants to win races right now so he can win another championship. I like that, but I think DJ is right about how you go about it. But I want to see that little bit of, I like that.
What was that?
Is that a dance move?
I don't know what that was. By the way, Stenhouse, who won the championship last year, is in a fairly deep hole already. Only twice last season was the points lead more than 23 points. And here we are, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. trails Elliott Sadler by 25. Shannon?
Well, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., we all know that it takes skill to get behind that wheel of that car and drive it, but it's also a very emotional sport. How do the emotions differ this season for you than they did last year?
I don't think they differ really any. I mean, when we didn't win last year, I wasn't very happy either. So, this team that Mike Kelly has assembled and Jack Roush is a team that wants to win. I want to win, and we're not happy when we don't. But the thing is I think this is a great team. We learn a lot from each race, and I think we learned a lot last week of what we don't need to do, what we do need to do, and we're looking to capitalize on that here in California. Our Roush Fenway, 25 years of winning Mustang has been fast. We're a little free in qualifying, but I think that's going to fare well for us in the race. So should be a good race.
And Ricky rolls off 10th. He's also our in-race reporter today. If you want to ask him a question, just go to ESPN.com, search in-race reporter.
Guys, back to what happened last week. He felt he gave it away. He was leading before that yellow flag, and Elliott Sadler got the lead because he didn't come in for a pit stop. Fine and dandy. But the problem is he walked away after the race, didn't talk to anyone, including his crew chief, who lost the race as well.
That's right. And I talked to Mike Kelly, his crew chief, this morning in the garage, and he told me I don't want a driver. I don't want a driver that's willing to settle for third place. I want a driver with conviction and determination and attention to detail and fire. And that's what I have in Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Yes, he got mad at me. No, he didn't cuss me. He aired what his problem was, and he says that they're stronger for it moving forward.
That's exactly right. That's what you want out of your crew chief. This is where the crew chief really earns his money, by taking this young driver and fostering this relationship, going to the next level. Listen, every day in this business, this is a tough business. It's not all lollipops and sugar cookies. A lot of times it's a grind. And when that crew chief can take that driver, and that driver has the utmost confidence in him, and he knows he's going to stand behind him no matter what, you better watch out, Jack.
I told you earlier, I prefer kittens and rainbows.
Ricky Stenhouse proved that he is a champion. He is that. But what he's also got to learn in this business is just the people around you that make you that champion. You can't do it by yourself. So let's take this. Let's not throw this group under the bus sometimes. Although you want to say so many things when you crawl out of that car, temper that a little bit, take it back to the hauler, work things out there, and everything's going to be much better. But this is what have you done for me lately business.
Yeah, that's right.
And you've got to do a lot. There's only a few drivers that can get away with having what might be considered a little bit of off time. You've got to perform every week.
It's what have you done for me lately? The driver may get all the glory, but the team is very much with you. And oh, by the way, ask Jimmy Johnson if he's still not trying to prove himself. Hey, coming up next, Bristol is tough, it's hard, and veterans will tell you that. So how about the young guys? For Austin Dillon and Cole Witt, is California a chance for them to catch their breath? And then what happens when you give two of the hardest working people a camera as they cross the country? Yeah, we don't even have words for this, but you'll find out what they say and what they do as they crisscross the country in the haulers. That's coming up next.
I crossed the U.S. Air. I don't know about them boys.
Yeah, you were in first class. I wasn't.
Yeah, they call him Rowdy. For nearly a decade, he ran through the Nationwide Series like a steamroller.
Utter, pure domination.
But this year, he's in different equipment. His own equipment.
Hard, vicious crash.
So far, the ride's been rough. And Rowdy, he's getting restless.
Part of the reason he's restless is because he's not in a position he's used to being in at this particular track. Busch qualified 15th here this afternoon. Keep in mind, he's the defending winner of this race. To put it mildly, he's good here. Not only has he won at this track 5 times, in each of those wins, he's led nearly 50% of the laps he's run. Dave?
Kyle walking with me to driver introductions now. And Kyle, does it seem weird, you being the guy who's had kind of the foundation of the Joe Gibbs winning streak in Nationwide here, to be the one of the guys that wants to knock them off today?
I wish we had a better opportunity to knock him off, but I think Joey will be all right. He's got a fast car, and our Monster Energy Camry, we're still working at it, trying to get better and doing things every week that, trying to get it going in the right direction.
He's got veteran crew chief Mike Beam and the whole crew trying to get that 54 up to speed so he can win again here at the Auto Club Speedway. Nicole?
It is interesting to listen to him lower the expectations of everyone around him. But like you said, keep in mind, last year he was in Joe Gibbs Racing equipment, and we've talked a lot about this year about the lack of horsepower he has under his hood in his own 54 equipment. And last weekend at Bristol, his driving ability, he was able, his talent, to get him to the front. I know you think, Dale, that this week it's only going to put emphasis on what he doesn't have.
Yeah, last week, because of his tremendous talent on that short track where you don't have aerodynamics and engine coming into play nearly as much, this racetrack here at California Speedway, 2 miles, exposes your weaknesses. And what it's going to show is this is a team that's still building. Even though they have one of the greatest, or the greatest Nationwide driver of all time, Kyle Busch, he can't carry the race car here completely. So he's going to be in for another long day. He's just going to have to show more patience than he's ever shown before in his life. And the other thing that he can't do is let this Nationwide program get to him on the Cup side.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what where my concern would be, is his performance in the playoffs or the chase each year has been very, very poor. I mean, we expect so much out of Kyle Busch because he's so talented. Is this another distraction? That would be the question I have. Yeah, he's only in the car for these first 5 races, and then he turns it over to his brother, but he still owns this darn thing, and he wants it to be about him. We know who he is, what his capabilities are. When we think Kyle Busch Racing, we think winning. That's not what's happening.
That's what I was going to say. What's the name on the door of that company?
That's right.
Kyle Busch.
I talked to the team this morning, and they've made a conscious effort not even to set expectations until May or June. At that point, they'll assess where they are and determine what their expectations are. Kyle Busch was interviewed by the media when we were in Las Vegas earlier this year, and the question was posed to him, what would it be like to win in your car at your home track? And his answer was, that's probably a question for 2013, not 2012. That tells you a lot about where his mind is and his attempt to temper those expectations.
By the way, Kyle Busch qualified 15th, but he missed a few important meetings this morning. So per the NASCAR rules, like driver introductions, he's going to the back of the pack. By the way, Bristol, we said this earlier, it's not an easy track, but California is a chance for some of the young guys to catch their breath. Young guys or girls like Danica Patrick, because, Doc, this is a familiar track for her. She's been here before. Dr. Jerry Punch?
She certainly has, but with only 29 career NASCAR Nationwide Series starts, to her credit, Nicole, the learning curve's still pretty steep here. And Danica, although you've come a long way, they're waving to the fans here on the inside of the racetrack, you've come a long way on the track. You said the next big hurdle was restarts. What's been the issue there?
I think it's the same thing that appears in qualifying a little bit. It's just knowing the limit of the car and feeling the limit of it, and it seems to show up a little bit more on flatter tracks like Fontana. It's a little bit of a flatter track for some of the sort of 1.5 plus tracks. So you know, just getting comfortable with that, especially when the car's moving around, when the tire pressures are still low. Sometimes I just need a little bit more confidence, a little more experience, feeling comfortable there.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Her 30th career start on the eve of a very special birthday. Maybe she gives herself a birthday present with the victory here at California today. Nicole?
That number 30 keeps popping up for her all weekend long. Hey, this isn't an easy track. Let's not give it that reputation. Bristol is hard, but this also it's not easy.
No, these young drivers are going to figure out today just how difficult it is. It's fast. There's not a lot of banking there to hold you. Not a lot of grip. It's very bumpy. Just a lot of things that are going against them. But they have a lot of racing room, and they've got 300 miles to learn a lot of things about this track.
Yeah, they do. And those seams you see right there, those stripe seams. I was talking to Jamie McMurray about this last night. He said Brandon racetrack is so rough, and when you get on those seams, especially with your right rear tire, it makes the car actually slip temporarily. So you're driving this car on this bumpy racetrack that's getting worn out, and you're out of control sometimes, trying to be in control if that's possible.
I talked to Jimmy Johnson about this morning at length, and he said the reason this place is so tough for the drivers is it takes everything, aero, motor, and he said mechanical grip, which you can explain what that is, Dale, is becoming more and more important. And he said as this track continues to age in weather, it's becoming more and more of a driver track, and finding that right line every time we come back.
And Kevin Harvick, who won the Cup race here last year, said that it requires patience. Now, I personally, no offense, don't know many race car drivers who actually are patient.
Come on
That's
now.
difficult coming from me because I don't have it either, but whatever.
Like
hey, we got to say goodbye to you because you're doing double duty today, so go on. Be on with you.
Should be fun.
We'll see you again in a few minutes. And coming up next, as we said earlier, what happens when you give cameras to a couple of guys as they're crossing the country? It'd be like giving Brad cameras as he goes to the food tent. Interesting things happen. We'll be back
No,
from California
One thing's gonna happen.
in just a second.
I'm going to eat.
Crazy.
Fontana, California, where it's becoming a beautiful day for Race 5 of this NASCAR Nationwide Series season. And for you race fans, check out Race Buddy. It's enhanced coverage for our select Nationwide Series races. More cameras, 8 HD camera angles, live chats, leaderboard, and more. Go on to NASCARNationwideSeries.com/RaceBuddy. Now, none of this, not the cars, not the equipment, not even our pit studio, none of it makes it to each race weekend without some very unsung and incredibly hardworking people in the NASCAR garage. And no, I am not talking about the drivers. I'm talking about the guys and gals who drive the haulers from race to race, and in this case, from one side of the country to the other. We gave some cameras to a few of those gentlemen, and this is what happened.
Trying to get out of Bristol, Tennessee, and head back to Charlotte, North Carolina. Get these cars and stuff off of there and get our California stuff on, westbound down.
Well, here we go, going through Charlotte, North Carolina.
Headed to Fontana, California, which is a long way. But it's nothing we ain't never done. We got our CB radio up here.
This is what you yell to other people.
Very, very seldom any useful information comes out of there. This area, I know you got to push them in to make the thing go.
That's 18 gears right there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you forget where you're at.
You got your radio, your AM, FM cassette deck.
8-track. Cool on the stool, looking out the mirror, making sure there ain't no cars inside. We rolled into South Carolina. As you can see, Mr. Jay Mabry / Jay Burt at the wheel. We have to keep up with the miles that we run in each state. He is documenting how many miles we just ran in North Carolina.
Fuel stop number 1.
419, it's a good deal here. That's like I have to pay that fuel bill. This is just the first stop. 25 hours into the trip, 1,550 miles so far. We're spending lots of money, lots of fuel money. They won't even go to 1,000.
Wanna come back for more.
We just entered California. Yeehaw. 2,429 miles, 42 hours.
Here we are, all the clubs and people.
This right?
Yeah.
Take another right. I'm gonna punch you on this side of it.
Okay.
Don't mess this up. That's good.
car's fired up. You ready to get raced? Even before you long legs, if you want to jump in there and ride with us.
Jay, I got a better idea.
What you got?
Let's drop him off in Swannanoa, North Carolina. He's a mountain boy. He knows where that's at.
Yeah. Front door, sir.
I can tell them boys one thing. If I'm going with them, they better have a lot of snacks.
I can tell you another thing. You're setting up a little bit straighter than you were when that piece started, when that $1,000 fuel bill showed up. Your wallet just started shrinking.
I don't even want to talk about that. That's painful.
How do you bet I would pull
Painful.
up if that was my money, Brad?
Here's the thing. So we started our season in Florida. You spend a couple of weeks in Florida, then you go back to North Carolina. Then you go from North Carolina to Phoenix. From Phoenix to Charlotte. Charlotte to Vegas. Vegas to Charlotte. Charlotte to Bristol. You get where I'm going. This is a long beginning of the season. That's
it really is.
On these guys.
And the fans, and everyone around, they get to see the end result. They get to see the race cars. They get to see the drivers. Yeah. But just like for my race team, after Daytona, we had the rain delay day. We had to come back and get ready to go to Phoenix. I had about 10 guys that stayed up 30 hours straight.
Brutal.
Just trying to get race cars changed out and get people going in the right direction. Those guys are the only reason we get to do what we do. We get to watch these races because of people behind the scenes.
I mean, the owners, it's very hard on the teams, but the fact is you want to be in big markets.
Yes.
That's right. It's hard.
Do you want to reschedule the slate so that it makes a little bit more sense logistically? That's something NASCAR will likely look at moving forward and trying to determine what's right for the series. But right now, that's what they think the owners want.
One of the many elements of teamwork in this sport. For another element, let's go down and talk to one of our team members, Shannon Sprague, who has Justin Allgaier standing by.
Justin Allgaier starting on the first row alongside Joey Logano. You told me the one problem is just trying to find the 0.4 of a second that Logano beat you by. You've had about a little over 2 hours to figure it out. What'd you guys learn?
Actually, it's funny because standing up at driver intros, I asked him what he did qualifying, and we were actually the opposite on both ends. So what I could do down there, he couldn't, and vice versa. So I don't know where the 2/10 are at, but the Brent Monterey Chevys are really, really good in race trim. And that's obviously the main focus. Getting the pole would have been great, but outside front row is not bad at all. And this is going to be a great race. The service here in California obviously got a lot of character to it. The tires are going to be good. So I just can't thank Nationwide Insurance enough and all the people that put this together, because every week we go out and we race our guts out and hope for the fans at home are enjoying it. And hopefully I'll have a good race today.
Thanks. Nicole?
Justin Allgaier starts second. Thank you very much to Marty Smith for joining us in the pit studio. We will find out, will Justin Allgaier, who starts second, make a run at that Joe Gibbs Racing just hole that they have on this track? We'll find out at the end of 150 laps. Coming up next.
Here in the shadow of Hollywood, great stories are in production. Tales of heroism, heartbreak, and comeback kids. So grab 4 tires and a tub of popcorn. It's time for lights, camera, action.
Southern California, the land of cars and stars, a place with a long history of NASCAR racing that dates back to 1958. Today, that tradition continues at the Auto Club Speedway of Southern California for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, running 300 miles at this very fast 2-mile track. One team looking to continue its tradition of winning at this track. With that story, Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Alan. In sports, everyone loves the home field advantage and knows it's important to protect the home turf. Now, I don't know about the advantage, but this is the home turf for Toyota, whose North American headquarters is located about an hour away in Torrance, California. Now, Joe Gibbs Racing has certainly done a good job of protecting it for Toyota by winning the last 7 in a row here. And there's a good reason to believe that the streak will extend to 8 today. Joey Logano has put his Toyota Camry on the pole with a speed almost a mile per hour faster than anyone in the field. And when he won here in 2009, yes, you guessed it, he started on the pole. Alan?
Just one of many stories as we get set to go racing here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series in Southern California.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise and remove your hats as the Chula Vista Fire Department Color Guard present our nation's colors. And now, would you please welcome Jeff Hamilton from Motor Racing Outreach as he delivers today's invocation.
Good afternoon. Let's pray together. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this event that we're enjoying today. We also thank you for the freedoms that we share in our nation, but most of all for the love and grace that we experience that covers our lives, that comes from you. We humbly ask that you would keep the drivers and teams safe in today's race, and that the staff and the sponsors would know how much we appreciate their efforts. Bless our service people at home and abroad, and may our lives bring honor to you. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please remain standing and welcome singer-songwriter Shalia Frazier for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, though bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the
Now time for the drivers to buckle aboard, get everything as comfy as possible, because they've got 300 hard miles ahead on this very fast Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. And ESPN's exclusive coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series continues today with Race 5 of the 2012 season. As the teams get ready to go, we're all set to go as well. Alan Bestwick here, along with champion driver Dale Jarrett and champion crew chief Andy Petrie. Let's start with the lead story of the day. Joe Gibbs Racing, 7 straight wins in the Nationwide Series at this racetrack. Do they make it 8 straight?
Well, without Kyle Busch in one of the Joe Gibbs cars, I would have thought this would have been a good chance for maybe to break that streak. But after seeing qualifying and seeing what Joey Logano did and how fast he ran and how confident he is in his car, I think they maybe can do it. I really do. I think they can keep it going.
Logano, the 2009 winner here, and starting on the pole today with a speed for qualifying that was quite a bit faster than the second place car. So far, 4 races in the Nationwide Series season. No Sprint Cup regular driver has won a race so far. Favorites to continue that streak today, favorites to break that streak.
Well, I think the favorites to continue are 2 drivers that have won 3 of these 4 races, Elliott Sadler and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Ricky Stenhouse winning at Las Vegas, a 1.5 mile racetrack, could be there again today. If that streak is going to get broken, obviously Logano owned the pole as a Cup driver, but the talk in the garage area yesterday after the practice session was, watch out for the 22 car, Brad Keselowski, extremely fast in race runs.
Now, speaking of fast, this racetrack is 2 miles, very fast, also very difficult on driver and crew chief.
Yeah, and can't express enough how difficult this racetrack is. There's a number of things. The speed, you're over 180 miles per hour entering the corners. You see the seams in this racetrack. That will create problems for these drivers. The bumps on this racetrack. It's just a handful today. And oh yeah, you got to stay in the throttle a lot if you plan on winning.
And you can see the surface and just how demanding it is on the setup of the car. But also this surface and tire combination they allow the tires, the speeds to fall off. And so that's going to make it a little more difficult for these crew chiefs to make those decisions on whether to take 2, take 4. It's a very difficult, fast racetrack.
It's going to be interesting to see how the strategy plays, who's got the fast car, and whether any of those streaks continue or are broken today. We'll find out with 300 miles of racing in California. The engines fire next.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at California is brought to you by Castrol GTX. Castrol GTX helps extend engine life. It's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering. And Nationwide Insurance. Call now to get a quote.
A field of 43 NASCAR Nationwide Series drivers and cars set to take the Auto Club Speedway of Southern California momentarily. We go trackside to Dave Burns.
And last week, Alan, Justin Allgaier told me before the race, I think we just haven't found the sweet spot when it comes to tuning this new generation of our cars. We'll give Jimmy Elledge and the 31 crew their due. After a practice he's described yesterday as fairly easy, they were working on the car, getting it very good for qualifying for Allgaier. It's the best it's been so far this weekend. Mike Massaro?
Dave, Trevor Bayne starts the day third in the standings, but due to limited sponsorship, is not scheduled to start the next race in Texas. Today could go a long way in attracting sponsorship. Time now to go trackside for the command to start engines.
Race fans, it is time for the most famous words in motorsports. Would you please welcome the Royal Purple 300 Grand Marshal, reality television star, and U.S. Olympic gold medalist, Bruce Jenner.
Drivers, start your engines and let's go racing!
Hi, buddy. Make some noise. Let me know when it's making noise appropriately.
Oh, yeah, they were up against the wall running that above that top seam.
And we still thinking the same bottom?
Just let her go second seam off the wall.
Nah, just let her go. We're all good.
3 and 4 it is.
Ready for racing in Southern California in the Royal Purple 300. Fans, check out Race Buddy. Enhanced coverage for select Nationwide Series races with more cameras than ever. Log on to NASCARNationwideSeries.com/RaceBuddy. Our ESPN in-race reporter today is the defending NASCAR Nationwide Series champion, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Stenhouse already has one victory this season. That was a couple of weeks ago at Las Vegas, another very fast and very difficult racetrack. Well, he cashed in the jackpot that day. Can Stenhouse be the star of the show in Southern California? We'll talk to him and go racing next. Well, there are Beverly Hills, there are the Hollywood Hills. There's downtown LA and the Staples Center, where a lot of great sporting action takes place, and the beautiful shores and cliffs of the Pacific coastline. All in the neighborhood of the Auto Club Speedway of Southern California, where race 5 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series is about to unfold on what's turning into a pretty beautiful afternoon. As the cars roll off onto this giant racetrack, we get ready to talk to our ESPN in-race reporter for the day, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the NASCAR Nationwide Series champion. Now, there's only a couple of 2-mile tracks on the circuit, Michigan and here. You see Stenhouse looking to boost that average finish a little bit higher here today. Let's talk to our in-race reporter.
Hey, Ricky, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yes, sir, Dale. I got you.
All right, Rick, thanks for talking with us today. Our first question comes from our mailbag, and James in Rochester, New York asks, Ricky, you've won at the short track in Iowa, the intermediate track in Las Vegas. Now, what will it take for you to win at a bigger track like California?
Well, it's going to take a lot. You got to have a good handling race car here. We got Roush Yates motors under our Ford here, which is huge for these 1.5 or 2 mile tracks getting down the straightaway. So it's going to take a combination of a lot, but we got to make sure our fenders are on it at the end of this deal.
Hey, Ricky, just a couple of weeks ago in Las Vegas, a 1.5 mile track, the last run of the day, you really put a whipping on the field. Were there things that you learned about your car and your driving style there that day that will help you here today?
I think so, but I think the main thing was just, having the mental confidence that you know what your race car needs at the end of that race. And Mike Kelly and the guys in the pits will do a good job at getting us tuned up and getting everything that we need to be fast at the end. And they're taking notes all day long. So hopefully we'll take the right notes, make the right adjustments, and go after this thing with a couple laps to go.
All right, Ricky, thanks again for talking with us. You have a great day. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Mike Kelly.
Cool deal. Thank you.
Hey, Mike, Andy in the booth. You got us?
Andy, I got you loud and clear.
Yeah, Mike, you're starting just a little farther back than maybe you'd like to. Looked like the car was a little loose in qualifying. How is that going to carry over to the race? I mean, with the qualifying under the race setup, does that mean a good thing or a bad thing for the race here?
Well, generally we got a pretty decent race set up. Our qualifying setup will tend to be a little free, and we try to just mix it a little bit today. Starting 10th isn't too bad. It's a long race, 150 laps, and starting on the outside where Ricky wanted to be. I'm sure he wanted to be 3 or 4 rows farther up than we are. But the Roush 25th anniversary Ford's been fast since we unloaded, and looking for a good day today.
Mike, this track and tire combination seems to give up a little speed as you put laps on the tires. How's that going to affect the strategy late in this race?
Well, the Nationwide Series, you know, we're limited on the amount of tires we got, so it's key to know when to use them and when to put them on. You can't put them on at lap 15 and then have another caution at lap 30 or 40 and expect to be able to put a second set on. So this race is tough. Here in Texas, it's a long race. You don't have a lot of set of tires, and you just got to make sure you're on equal tires to the guys at the end. You know, if no one has any, no one has any. But if there's someone sitting here with an ace in their hole, it's going to be a long day.
Mike, I'm sure you'll make good decisions today. Good luck. Thanks for talking to us.
You guys have fun.
I noted the deep breath he took when you asked him the strategy question. It's going to be a tough call at the end of this race. Over the wall today, Mark Hollywood Armstrong is going to carry our camera today. Mark, this is one of the longest pit roads on the circuit. Those pit boxes are big. How's that help you do your job?
This is a tremendous pit road. Very, very long. It's very easy for the drivers to get caught speeding. But once they get to this big pit box, as you see them marking a spot for the guy to stop, you can have very, very difficult picking out where the car might stop. And that can present challenges to these pit crews today. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And this race could come down to a fuel mileage race. And if he happens to overshoot this spot that we speak of earlier, what could be very, very difficult for the gas man carrying almost a 100-pound can, get plugged into the car quick and help this guy get out and win this race. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. Fans, sit back and enjoy it.
Hollywood working for James Busher today on the 30 car. Have a safe race down there, Mark. And speaking of pit road, Shannon Spake is on duty there for us. Shannon, Brad Keselowski could be one of the favorites today.
And Alan, I think one thing that every team does not want to hear when their driver's getting up to speed on their qualifying lap is I ran something over. That's exactly what Brad Keselowski said earlier today. I checked in with the team. They told me they have no idea what they ran over. They do know that it pushed that splitter back about 1/8 of an inch. They were able to make the adjustments. NASCAR told me they were approved repairs. Therefore, they maintained their qualifying position and didn't have to go to the back. Keselowski looking for his first win here at Auto Club Speedway. It would also be Penske's first win here at the track, in NASCAR, that is.
The Double Deuce starting inside of row number 2 and will be one of the ones to watch at the end of 300 miles today. Great high-definition onboard looks for you. In our Nationwide Series coverage from California, Elliott Sadler carrying the Pierre Drive-Thru Sandwiches camera, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the Ford EcoBoost camera, our in-race reporter, Danica Patrick with GoDaddy.com's camera, Brad Keselowski with the Dodge onboard, Justin Allgaier with the Chevy onboard, Michael Annett, the Nationwide Insurance camera, Kyle Busch with the Nationwide Insurance camera, and Trevor Bayne with our Goodyear onboard camera here in California today. So, 2-mile track, 300-mile race. If I've carried the one right and done all my division correctly, this is going to be 150 laps.
Yeah, that's good. You're good so far.
All right. And that 41 to 44 laps on the pit window, depending would be the asterisk there.
Yeah, you'll see some teams maybe short pit if we have a long green flag run because the tires do give up speed, and we may see somebody stretch that fuel mileage at the end.
Once again, we see a lot of speed out of this racetrack with only 14 degrees of banking and not a lot of grip in these corners. You drivers have to really drive these machines hard today.
Kyle Busch to the back of the field, missed his spot in driver introductions. That means you give up your starting spot and go to the tail end of the line. He has dropped to the end of the grid for this one. So, will Joe Gibbs Racing win an 8th straight Nationwide Series event at this racetrack? Joey Logano, Brian Scott carrying those colors. Will it be a Justin Allgaier or an Austin Dillon or Sadler or Stenhouse continuing the streak of non-Cup winners? Or will it be Logano and Keselowski bringing the Cup drivers to the forefront at the end of 300 miles? We're set to go racing in Southern California. Green flag in the air. Stenhouse in that 6, looking to make some fast moves to get up from that starting spot.
That's a good place to do it. There's not a lot of cars up there where he was. Kind of the long way around the racetrack, but we'll see cars span out all over this racetrack. They could get 5 wide if they want to, and they might before it's over.
Logano leads lap 1. Allgaier second, Keselowski third, Sadler fourth, Austin Dillon fifth in that 3. Then it's Sam Hornish Jr. in the 12, Brian Scott in the 11, and Stenhouse in the 6, all fighting for a spot there. And so noticeable as we look down that backstretch at the cars coming at the camera. That splitter going up and down over the pavement, rippling as the cars go across the bumps.
Yeah, one thing that's so great about this track, and it's so wide, is that if the car's not handling exactly like you want it, say on the bottom of the racetrack, you can move up and change the way the car drives and actually change the balance. So you'll see a lot of guys doing that. Some of them using the bottom very effectively, but others can use that top lane to carry the momentum, like you see Austin Dillon right here.
Yeah, don't adjust your TV or try to tie it down or something. Think it's moving around, because these cars are what are really moving around a lot, and that's what puts such a premium on the driver knowing exactly where to be and where not to be on this track.
At first side-by-side was for 5th place. Austin Dillon in the 3, Hornish Jr. in the 12.
And even though this track is fairly flat, it's big, and you can use the draft a lot. And you can see right here, these two cars running side by side with looks like Keselowski and Allgaier. You can actually get the cars behind can get a pull, but it looks like they've got a little distance on the 4th place car.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll see a battle like this, and someone, a car or two right behind them, will make it 3 wide down the straightaway. And where Brad Keselowski in that 22 is going, that's the roughest part of the track. Really have your hands full, and then going across those seams makes it even more difficult. You can see he had to fall back in behind Allgaier.
You know, saw that car kind of skip up off the bottom there, and he did a nice job to kind of dance it up the track and slide in behind the 31 and not into it.
Yeah, we talk about it's a wide racetrack, but most laps you need every bit of it on the exit of these corners.
Yeah, you can see him losing the apron in the middle of the corner there, even going below the white line, which is totally legal here.
While we watch some of the action out front, Kyle Busch, who's won the last 3 straight nationwide races at this track, has moved up from the tail end of the field, 43rd, and crosses the stripe here in 19th.
That's a lot of cars.
Yes, sir.
But he's gonna have his hands full here today. Talking countdown about this racetrack exposing weaknesses, and right now this team just is having a difficult time. They've had to get cars ready for all different types of racetrack, and they also have been unfortunate to have some accidents and not be able to. You can see Kyle going down below the line to make a pass. So this is going to be another learning experience for this team.
It is, and that's the thing about a track like this. You obviously got to have a big motor because the track is so long. It's bumpy, it's flat, so handling and mechanical grip is big, and then aerodynamics. So you got all of these programs really come into play at this track, and if you're deficient in one area, it can really show up here.
There's a phrase you used earlier, will expose your weaknesses.
Yeah, well, we know the one weakness that this team doesn't have, and that's in that driver's seat.
Yes.
Yeah, he knows how to get the job done, so they just have to try to make their cars and equipment better, and they will do that.
Brian Scott in the 11, one of the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas, and Sam Hornish in the 12. Hornish slipping back a couple of spots here in these last few laps as Scott moves up and around him.
Yeah, this 11 car looks very solid early on.
We saw Brian Scott at Las Vegas, a 1.5 mile track, have a really good run there, got in racing and got some air taken off his spoiler and had an accident, but was very strong to that point.
And Hornish, a couple of time winner at this track in open wheel competition, though there's very little that would translate from that to this. Joey Logano and Justin Allgaier started first and second. They run first and second, but we're very early, just 12 miles into the 300 today. Joey Logano leading the NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. Very early in the going, though. We are caution-free. Logano's led all the laps after starting on the pole. We're back in traffic. Some pretty good action here from 8th, 9th, 10th positions on back. Sam Hornish Jr. in the yellow 12. Brendan Gaughan in the 33. Trevor Bayne in the 60.
Sam Hornish made a good charge here. Early on in the race, made some laps. See Trevor Bayne trying to make that low line work.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive what Trevor's doing there. That car looks like it's visibly loose and out of shape going through there, trying to hug the bottom lane in that rough part of the racetrack. He's going to try the high lane here.
Yeah, you'll see this quite a bit. Drivers running different lines on each end of the racetrack, just searching around, trying to see what's the best and what's the fastest way around for them with their handling at this particular time.
Just behind Trevor Bayne in the 11th spot is Kenny Wallace in the 09 car. Now, Kenny started in the 6th position But in the opening lap, a little bit of a jam up over in turn number 2 when he lost a couple of spots there and had to kind of settle in line.
He's kind of maintaining here. He lost a spot to Trevor Bayne just a few laps ago, and now it looks like he's under attack a little bit from Cole Witt in the 88, but he's holding station pretty well.
Yeah, it just looked like that. He didn't really like what his car did there on the original start of the race with the low air pressures and everything, and it kind of got him slowed down, lost a few spots, but it settled in nicely.
Second place, Brad Keselowski in the 22, trying to find a way around Justin Allgaier in the 31 car.
That's kind of seesaw. It looked like in the beginning laps that Justin Allgaier had as good a car, maybe the best car for about 5 or 6 laps. Had run down Joey Logano. Now he's lost contact with Joey and under attack from Keselowski.
One thing that I have seen with this 31 car, what he was doing there early on, was really utilizing the bottom of the racetrack. You can do that. You see Keselowski all the way below, down on the apron of the racetrack. And as you said, Andy, you can do that. But the 31, if you run down there lap after lap, then you're just going to wear the tires more and more and more. And what we saw in practice was these tires do have some fall off, so you abuse the tires a little bit too much by staying down there.
Update on the second place runner, Dave Burns.
Alan, his car right now has difficulty turning through the corner. That tight condition that can really help you in qualifying because your car is really under you, but sometimes you have to have a chance to work on during the race. DJ, what do you think? If a car is super comfortable in qualifying, if you're not Joey Logano out front, this can be a detriment.
Yeah, you're really going to have to work on your car. And you get that tight situation. There's things that you can do. One of them is go down the apron, get that left front down there. That kind of does what we call de-wedging the car. It'll help the car to turn, get you a nice run-up off. The other thing is if your car's tight, make a wider arc into the corner. Roll out of the gas, and then you can get a straighter shot on the exit.
Yeah, what I'm watching from Allgaier now, looking at lap times, he's moving around the racetrack, and he is picking up speed. He was the fastest the last lap and the lap before that, so now you can see him moving his way back up closer to Joey Logano.
Yeah, it's been a couple of different times that Brad Keselowski has run up to his bumper or even beside Justin Allgaier, but when he got there, then Justin has changed his line, and he's made it work, and it's made him faster.
And so, like Andy said, the gap between first and second now shrinking as Allgaier, trying that new line, closes in on Joey Logano for the race lead.
Well, he looks stout right there, able to go all the way down that apron and get a lot of grip. And now that motor, that big motor under the hood's carried him down the straightaway.
Yeah, sometimes you move up, it just cools your tires, especially that right front off just a little bit, especially in a pushing situation. Then you can go back to the bottom and run your fast laps.
Check in on Kyle Busch, who remember started at the back of the pack for this race. He's run up now all the way to 13th position from 43rd.
That's pretty impressive right there. He must have a pretty good car. I know these next 13 are going to be a little harder to pass.
Yes, sir. So Kyle riding in line there now. Next ahead of him, he'll be trying to track down Cole Witt in the 88 car. Logano, Allgaier, Keselowski. They put a little bit of a gap on 4th place Elliott Sadler and 5th place Austin Dillon. About halfway through the first fuel run in the Nationwide Series race in Southern California. A new era of open-wheel racing begins on ABC tomorrow as the Izod IndyCar Series hits the streets of St. Petersburg. Defending champ Dario Franchitti begins his quest for a 5th Series championship. And Will Power, new track record starting on the pole. It's the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern on ABC. Back live NASCAR Nationwide Series race, Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. The Royal Purple 300 being led by Joey Logano, Danica Patrick in 21st position. Lead lap, Mike.
You know, Alan, after practice yesterday, she was extremely confident, saying it was one of her best intermediate track practices all season long. It showed speed immediately. Early in this race, however, the car has not handled to her liking. It's been very loose, especially in the center of 3 and 4. The team over the radio just telling her, be patient, we've got a long way to go.
All right, Mike, thanks. And up front, new 2nd place runner. Behind Joey Logano is now that white Penske Dodge of Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, this is what a lot of people were talking about in the garage area yesterday, that this 22 car really came on strong with a lot of laps on the tires, that they seem to be able to take care of them and can maintain their speed as good as anyone here.
Yeah, he's about a quarter of a second faster last lap than Joey Logano, so his car really coming in with the laps on the tire.
Update on Logano, the leader, Doc.
And Joey Logano had been told by crew chief Brad Stevens, that Adam Stevens, that expect the car to start freeing up early on. With our setup, the car is going to get free, especially up off. Well, lap 10, Joey said, well, it was stuck. Now it's starting to free up. Lap 20, which is 3 laps to go, Joey said, wow, we are really getting loose off of turn 2 on the bottom of the racetrack. And now it's getting worse and worse. So Adam said, left finger straight now, we're going to make a significant change on the starter. Right now, he's in jeopardy of losing the lead to Keselowski.
Drives at 22 down into turn 3. Can he slide in front of him off? Well, he can slide anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough pass down there for Keselowski. You saw he's making most of his time up high and trying to make this pass now on the bottom.
Yeah, I really like what I saw with his car up high. You don't have to turn the wheel as much, so you're not hurting the tires as bad, and you get a huge run down the straightaway, and that allowed him to use the draft, and now you can see he's making that pass on the inside for the lead.
Oh, yeah, he'll be able to clear him easily off this corner.
Here comes Logano.
Looked like he was clear. But that momentum, boy, it really is a big factor here coming off the corner.
Little discretion being the better part of valor this early in the race.
Oh, yeah, that'd have been lap 148 or 145, and he'd have slid right up in front and taken his chances on getting run into.
Try it again.
Yeah, still not enough momentum there. You've got to really have a big cushion for that to happen. You can see this has allowed Allgaier to get right up to them.
Yeah, it looked like that when he started to make that pass, he had him cleared by a mile, and then that momentum closed the gap so fast.
A lot of times what you'll have to do is that car on the inside too is if you're not exactly perfect down there, then you have to start pedaling the throttle just a little bit. And usually in that high line, if you're running that, you're wide open for a long period of time.
Yep, not again. And this is what you love about this racetrack. As it's aged a little bit, and yeah, the surface has some character in it, the bumps and the seams and so on. But the options for racing lines just make the competition fun to watch.
Is that not perfect? I mean, 3 totally different lines. You could fit another couple of cars in there if we had them up there.
They're trying.
Yeah, Allgaier's closed in on these boys. He says, go ahead and race a little bit. I'll see if I can make the pass.
Keselowski still working on Logano, trying to get that lead, Shannon.
Loose off. He's doing all this racing with a loose race car, guys, trying to make that pass on the inside. About 5 laps ago, he did come on the radio and said, guys, I need clean air. And he looks like he's trying to make that happen himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, he surprised me a little bit on that initial time that he tried to make the pass on Logano, in that he had him set up where I think he could have gone to his outside, but when he forced Logano to the outside, he actually did him a favor. Now he's made that slide job work. That was textbook right there. That's the way you do it.
Well, you can see he just drove the car real deep in the corner and used that apron to get it to turn, and then he had enough gap to pull up in front of Logano. Now Logano's going to try the bottom.
Inside bottom.
Whoa, looks like Keselowski went just a little bit too high.
Yeah, getting it dusted off up there, though.
Yeah, cleaning off his groove.
Yes.
So, first lead change, second leader of the race. Brad Keselowski to the point, bypassing today's pole sitter, Joey Logano. It will not be long before these leaders are all on pit road if the green flag stays out. So take a break, come back for that action. It is Brad Keselowski who has gone to the point in the Royal Purple 300 at Auto Club Speedway. Aerial coverage today brought to you by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Everything we've learned making tires for one of racing's most grueling proving grounds inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Nice that we can see the track from the blimp, and we can see the blimp from the track after the heavy overcast and fog the day started with, but a beautiful 65-degree afternoon here in Fontana, California, as we look down on race number 5 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series and look up on the snow-capped mountains beyond the backstretch.
Oh, there it is. We didn't see that earlier.
Yeah. While Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, and Justin Allgaier run 1, 2, 3, here's a race for 6th position. Elliott Sadler was running as high as 4th a little while ago. He's about to fall to 7th. While that goes on the track, green flag pit stops have started off it, Dave.
It is the 12 car of Sam Hornish, who will get 4 tires and a full load of Sunoco fuel. Sam had been running 8th, and he said he had no grip, and the car would not turn coming off of the corner. As the crew finishes up on the left side, they'll make some adjustments to fix that. Alan?
So Hornish, the first of the front runners to make the move to pit road. Looks like Sadler is going to be the second of them. 55-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit today. Get his his Chevrolet load down to that mark before he hits this long pit lane, one of the longest on the circuit. And it's got to feel forever when you're behind the wheel of a driver doing 55 after you were doing 180 a second ago. He's coming to you, I promise, Doc.
He's on his way. We can see him now from here. Hey, he said the car's getting tight from center off. The longer he runs, the tighter it gets. He said now the car is jumped. Major chassis change. They'll get it full of Sunoco fuel, 4 tires, and a significant adjustment to free it up. Let's go to Mike.
And work being done now on Danica Patrick's machine. They're going to try to tighten her up with a chassis adjustment, a 4-tire change on the 7 car, and a full load of Sunoco race fuel as they complete work now on the left side of the car. Meanwhile, Trevor Bayne heading down pit road as well. He's been fighting a car that's been sliding. 0 side grip is what he said. They're also going to make it an air pressure adjustment on that machine as they head down pit road, and more action further down pit road. To Shannon Spink.
Well, Austin Dillon making his very first start here at this track. The majority of this time has been spent just trying to find the right line for him to run. He did say he needs to be freed up a little bit. They're going to try to do that with air pressure and take some tires. You see the 3 car right there on pit road. The guy's working on the left side. Get him freed up just a little bit and back out on the track, guys.
Shannon, thanks. Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano still running 1-2. Brian Scott, Justin Allgaier coming down the pit lane.
Sounds like the leader, Brad Keselowski, is going to pit this time, too. Dave?
Crew Chief Jimmy Ellis doesn't want to make the 31 car too loose for Justin Allgaier, but it does need to be freed up from the center of the corner off, so they make an air pressure adjustment out of the left rear. The 11 car, Brian Scott, a little free also. They'll call for a 4-tire change, fill that full of Sunoco fuel. There's Keselowski on the right. Shannon?
Well, Brad Keselowski did say that the handling was off on his car a little bit loose, but guys, it is coming to him. He says no changes are going to take some scuffed tires as you see that car making its way down pit road. Guys?
See, his pit box is very long. It's easy to get in and out of your pit stall here. You see that he has scuffed the wall. You see some paint right on that right rear quarter panel.
Joey Logano also in, Doc.
Said he can't afford to be any tighter in the center. Alan said, I'm really, though, free in and off. And so Adam Stevens said, here's what we're going to do, guys. Up 1 round on the track bar, air pressure change, 4 tires, get it completely full of Sunoco fuel, waiting on fuel. Now he's down and away, hustling off on the first stop of the day.
What you can see right there is that 22 of Brad Keselowski went by Logano. He put a significant amount of distance between, as they get back out on the track, between himself and the 18 through that pit exchange.
It looked like it took a little extra time on that left rear as well as waiting on some fuel, that Doc said, but it's like he's got some ground to make up now on Keselowski.
He put a pretty good bit of gap on Justin Allgaier as well on that set of pit stops. Here's Kenny Wallace, who had the lead by not coming to pit road yet under this cycle. His stop here at the conclusion of his 37th lap, Mike.
Yeah, in a conversation between Kenny and his crew chief, Scott Cividelli, a while ago, all about trying to free that race car up. Kenny wasn't necessarily all that excited about it, but agreed because they were losing significant time to make an air pressure adjustment and a 4-tire change on the 0-9.
So as Wallace returns to the track, that will complete the cycle of stops for the front runners, and Brad Keselowski is going to have a 4-second lead on second place.
Yes, and that's after just under 1 second lead that he had before he came to pit road. So the 22 team getting it done down there.
Justin Allgaier is second. Joey Logano is third. So the 22 getting it done on pit road as well as on the track, and he has opened up, waiting there, second and third place. That much of a gap on those two drivers that were all running together a little bit ago. First round of pit stops is done. James Busher in the 30 car getting some service from Mark Hollywood Armstrong over the wall.
Come on, boys. Let's have a nice stop and have some fun. Come on, baby, come on! Yeah! Job.
It's the Royal Purple 300 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, Fontana, California. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. 86 of 300 miles are complete. Brad Keselowski, the second leader of this race. He passed Joey Logano at lap 28, and he has been out in front ever since, including through a cycle of green flag pit stops. Now, green flag pit stops can be a thing here because of the big, wide racing surface here and the number of different racing grooves that are an option at this racetrack for the drivers. This racetrack has fewer wrecks by comparison than a lot of others, and this is particularly interesting when you come from, like, Bristol last week, a short track.
Yeah, it does create situations where we just see more of this green flag racing, and there's so many grooves to choose from. If you're trying to make a pass, it's not like you have to rub up against someone. You've got a lot of lanes to choose from.
6th, 7th, and 8th, Sam Hornish Jr., Austin Dillon, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 12, 3, and 6, respectively.
We saw Sam Hornish be the first one on the pit road. He got those new tires early that gained him some position. On the other side of it, Austin Dillon in the 3 was running up inside the top 5, and he's just a rookie, and understanding how quickly you can get onto and off of pit road here is something that he will learn more about, but he lost quite a bit of time in that exchange.
Dillon, one of 11 drivers in this field today, making their first Nationwide Series start at this particular racetrack. That's a lot of learning to be done.
Yeah, but he's done a good job behind the wheel in practice and qualifying, and he's done a good job so far in the race. And that, like I said, Dale, that's something that will come with experience and how to make that time up, getting down to pit road speed, getting back up off pit road, and getting up to speed.
Yeah, and it's not something that you can really simulate. They're limited on tires, so it's not like you can use up a set of tires in practice or anything. Figuring out exactly how to do that, it's being around other cars, seeing what you did, and then advancing that. We'll see throughout the day that he will probably get better at it as this race goes on.
Riding on board with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., our in-race reporter for the day, the defending series champion, started this race in 10th position, saw him make a 3 and 4 wide move in the first couple of corners to pick up a couple of spots, but Shannon, he hasn't picked up any more since.
Well, the car was really tight on that last run, Alan. They came down pit road, and it sounds like they may have gotten a little too aggressive with their changes, because Ricky is now saying the car is really loose. He said it started neutral, went to a 1 loose, and now it is completely freed up.
Yeah, you can just watch how he's sawing that wheel. He's not putting a lot of left turn input into it. You see a lot of right turn corrections. Tells you just how loose he is.
And watch the miles per hour in the telemetry at the bottom of the screen, and notice how little difference there is between that 186 top end of the straightaway and the center of the corner speed.
Yeah, it's just a momentum racetrack. The more momentum, the least that you can lose that speed in the middle of the corner. It carries all the way around the track.
And that speed difference would have been even less right after they made these changes of these tires. Now, after they get 8 to 10 laps on them, you do have to, it does fall off some. But that's the intention that Goodyear has with this tire, and because of this racing surface not having a lot of banking or grip. I have to think that Stenhouse was pretty surprised to have a tight race car at the beginning of this race, because they talked about how loose their car was in qualifying. That's why they qualified 10th, and that they felt like that would serve them good for the race. So now that they've loosened up, you can see him really sliding the back end around right there.
He had his hands full. Big temperature swing from qualifying that was at 10:30 local time this morning. It was 54 degrees during most of qualifying. And now it's another 11 degrees warmer than that, and the sun is out instead of being filtered through the heavy overcast. And the sun beating down on this surface, and particularly some of those seams where the tar fills in the seams on the racetrack, that makes a big difference as it gets warmer.
Yeah, and the big problem today so far is no caution flags. No time to work on it. Make adjustments like you would like to. A couple of cautions, you could come in here and maybe work on the car. You make some changes, but with this thing going green, you don't have a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, see Sam Hornish there in the 12 car, though. They apparently made a pretty good adjustment, because he ran the first few laps of this race really fast, made some gains, and then fell back. It looked like the handling really went away quickly, but it stayed better with him with this run. So whether it was air pressure or some chassis adjustment they made, Sam Hornish is definitely better. He's a run 6th right now.
I want to get another look at the right side of that car next time the camera passes it on that side, because I think he may be kind of just like Keselowski. Might have a little of that blue paint on the right side of that yellow.
Well, they're teammates. Maybe they have the same setup.
You got to get that shot from the camera besides in the corner because he's right up against the wall in the corners.
Has he scraped it up, or is that just the decals looking that way? Let's see.
Well, he almost got against the
fence right there if he wasn't before. No, he scraped it up.
Oh, yeah.
Hadn't hurt it much. I think he might have helped it.
Maybe that was the adjustment that it needed.
Well, Dave, the driver made the last adjustment, it looks like.
And the radio transmission was, I might have hit the wall.
Yeah, I think he did again.
That's how close he was to actually missing it. But, DJ called it right. That adjustment was simply an air pressure adjustment on their first stop. Nothing on the chassis, so it's really come around to him. And he talked about what you guys have been emphasizing all day. As Austin Dillon dives to the bottom, you got to search your line, and that's what Sam's been doing. I think he's found a good place.
So Dillon not able to get 6th position from Hornish as they continue a good tussle for that spot. Up front, Brad Keselowski leading Joey Logano by 4.5 seconds, a third of the way through today's race. Next race for the NASCAR Nationwide Series comes after a couple weeks we'll call spring break. Friday, April 13th, who's the lucky one in Texas at that fast mile-and-a-half track? ESPN2 qualifying 5 Eastern. The race starting with NASCAR Countdown at 8 Eastern. Also live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. Friday the 13th from Texas.
Yeah, I think I can climb that fence so I can get in free.
So let's see. We went Daytona to Phoenix to Las Vegas to Bristol, Tennessee to Southern California. Now the Nationwide Series has 2 weekends off and gets a chance to kind of regroup a little bit. These teams had a very difficult stretch. You saw NASCAR Countdown riding with the Roush Fenway Transporter guys for Ricky Stenhouse's team, the long haul across the country from the shops in the Charlotte, North Carolina area here to Southern California. But they get a couple of weeks to regroup and reset the equipment and get ready to head to that very fast Fort Worth track here in April the 13th.
Caution is out.
Yellow flag for debris. Debris on the back straightaway is what we're hearing.
We're about.
Yeah, we saw a piece back there off of turn 2 there for a little while. That might be, yeah, there it is.
So erasing that 4.5 second lead that Brad Keselowski had built up and given Logano and Allgaier and Scott and Sadler and everybody else a chance, like you were talking about earlier, Andy, to have another crack at adjusting on these cars and catch back up.
Yeah, I think Keselowski would have been fine to let it go green, but the other guys need a little adjustment. Kyle Busch now moved up into the top 10. Maybe he can get his car adjusted up a little bit better and get further up through there, and that also kind of close the gap.
Brad Sweet driving the 38 car for the Turner Motorsports team today. Car that he'll share with Casey Kane through this season. Is the first car lap down. Let's see, he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th in line in that picture right there. So he will get the free pass on this caution. There is the California native behind the wheel of that 38.
Didn't even have to carry the 1 to count back that far.
I'm telling you. Been doing this a while, you know. All right, so they'll take a minute and clean up the debris, and these pit crews will get ready to go back to work again. Went more than a third of this race without a yellow flag. Most of the leaders pitted at lap 35 and 36, so we're about 20 laps in. So, Andy, that's a little more than half a fuel load, and I would expect that that'll dictate strategy for most.
Yeah, I think so. This is a good opportunity, like I say, for a lot of teams to make adjustments and probably get 4 tires. You know, and we're seeing this thing go green, and that's the tendency. So you got to kind of plan on that we're going to have another long green run.
It's really difficult on a racetrack like this, especially after we run this many laps, to even consider 2 tires. I mean, sometimes 4 doesn't feel like enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd get 4 tires right here. We might see somebody roll the dice on track position, but I think they'd pay the price on the other end.
Won the race last year, but on the last stop in the final laps. Kyle Busch driving the Gibbs 18 then. They went for 2 tires as the last of the leaders to pit. But again, that was in the last of the race.
Yeah, we've got 92 laps to go right now.
There you go. So 15 cars on the lead lap. Their opportunity to pit is here. Takes a bit for some of these front runners to work their way down the pit lane at 55 miles an hour to get to their stalls. Keselowski, Logano, Allgaier, Scott, and Sadler, the top 5. David?
Fourth place, Brian Scott said that wedge adjustment was really good for us, but I need some more grip in the right rear. He overshoots his marks. They will make an air pressure adjustment now in the 11. The 31 of Justin Allgaier running third place. They will make a spring rubber adjustment, putting one out of the left rear. Shannon?
First, more stickers for Brad Keselowski. No changes. He's happy with the car. Doc?
Joey Logano lost 3 seconds and 2 spots in the previous stop when the rear tire changer ran in front of the gas man. That's why they had to wait on gas. This time, no problems. Flawless stop. Logano down and away. Great pit stop. 4 tires for the new leader.
Obviously a big problem for the driver who led coming down the pit lane, Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, he loses a ton of spots, 8 spots. That's going to be a lot of work when the green comes back out for Brad.
The proximity of the car to the wall hampered the left side tire change.
Yeah, you see him slide that left front. He slides right next to the wall. That's not a problem yet, but when the front tire changer comes around, not a lot of room.
Oh, yeah.
And the jack.
That'll create a 20-second pit stop. One lap from the restart in today's Royal Purple 300 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Auto Club Speedway of Southern California, 122 miles of the 300 are complete. Brad Keselowski's led a lot of it. He's going to find himself restarting back in 9th position after a little hiccup on his pit stop a moment ago.
Coming in on worn tires, he's trying to get in here quick and get on his mark. See, he slides those front tires and just comes way too close to that wall.
He was trying to get this car angled back out and just never got it slowed down enough to be able to do that.
And I love watching the front tire changer when he pulls that left front tire off. He's got no place to put it between the car and the wall, so he just tosses it over his shoulder into the pit box.
Yeah, you just got to make do with a bad situation right there. Nothing the crew can do, really.
Yeah. So even though the way these things are measured, that says the crew took an extra 8 seconds.
Yeah, we might want to swap those categories right there because that was nothing to do with the crew.
Driver knows it too.
Yeah, that one's my bad, guys. Don't sweat that. We're not sweating it. We're going to get it back. It's all good.
He'll be fun to watch on this restart from back in 9th spot.
Yeah, when you make a mistake, Dale, like that, do you drive just a little bit harder to try to get it back to
no doubt, especially
yourself?
when you got a good car.
All right, so here's a look at resetting the front of the field for you. Logano and Sadler, Scott and Allgaier, Dillon and Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Busch up to 7th, Brendan Gaughan 8th, Brad Keselowski now back to 9th position. Logano has chosen the outside lane for the restart here.
Yeah, I don't think that's surprising. Carrying that momentum off of turn 2 is going to be where he's going to get the lead.
He drove from 14th to 1st in 4.5 laps at Kansas last year, so he can do it.
Boxed in for the moment, 3 wide in front of him, and he's in the middle of a 3 wide.
And he sees Kyle Busch right up there in front of him. He figures that's a good place to be going to. Sadler making that bottom work right now. Logano wasn't able to clear him yet.
Allgaier and Stenhouse looking for a lane to open up.
Well, I didn't see that coming. Elliott Sadler got a good run off the corner. Gets clear for the lead.
See if he can get back to the line and get that point for leading the lap. Racing for a championship, they all count.
Got that one. And Keselowski's gone nowhere on this restart. Still mired back in that thick pack. Whoa, that was Trevor Bayne in that blue car that bobbled and slid up the racetrack. A 60. Black, white, and blue there.
Yeah, Keselowski was going up there against the wall where he had been running, but as the 60 car slipped, he had to go to the middle. Comes Austin Dillon to the inside.
By the way, the yellow flag, a nice break for Kyle Busch, too. Allowed him to close up on those leaders under the yellow. His crew got him a couple of spots on the stop, and now look at him on the restart, too. Kyle's up to 5th.
Yeah, he's making the most of that track position right now.
And this knot from 7th on back, while Logano goes back after Elliott Sadler for the lead.
I think probably Sadler went at that restart really hard, knowing that was probably his best opportunity today. They don't have the car exactly right here today. They're going to make the most of it, but that point was valuable to them.
It's something they've done a really good job of. Uh-oh, Danica's got problems. Mike?
You can see the hood is up, guys. It's an engine issue. She came over the radio about 2 laps ago saying the engine is starting to stumble. Tony Eury Jr. said, well, if it's cutting out, come down pit road. Obviously, that's what they've done. They're looking up underneath the hood, trying to see if they can rectify the problem. But now they're putting the hood down, putting the pins back in. Doesn't sound good as they're pushing the car now slowly down pit road. And behind the wall they'll go.
See, these engines are real durable, and they're very predictable in how far they'll go. But these kind of tracks like this carry so many high RPMs for a long period of time. It is very hard on engines.
So while they push Danica Patrick's car back to the garage, mixing it up for second spot, right side of the screen, Stenhouse Jr. in the 6 by Elliott Sadler, Allgaier by Sadler.
Yeah, well, Stenhouse saw Sadler go after that point, so he may want one too.
Elliott had that kind of hero feeling for a couple of minutes on fresh tires.
He can get a lot out of a race car. We've seen him do it qualifying and everything, and he's really good at that type of situation, so he got that. Now he's just going to settle in because he told me earlier today that this car just wasn't as good as what they hoped it would be when they came here. They were just going to try to make a good, solid day of it. But, you know, he jumped up on the wheel and got that extra point.
Somebody just thumped the wall off of turn number 2 a little bit with the right corner.
Yeah, they keep trying to move that wall out just a little bit more.
They would appreciate it if it was. That's a nice comeback by Stenhouse, too. It looks like they made a good adjustment. That car had gotten extremely loose for him on that last run, but it looks like that adjustment was better. Shannon, what'd they do for him?
Well, they went back about 75% on the adjustment that they had made previously. The car was way too loose on the last run. Stenhouse is very happy. He says this has made the world of a difference for him.
Yeah, this is the first time Stenhouse has been able to see the lead all day.
Pressure from Justin Allgaier for second spot.
Well, really impressed with Allgaier here today. You know, we've been questioned a little bit as they try to carry. You see, he's trying to go all the way to the lead as Logano went to the high side here.
I talked to Jimmy Elledge earlier this year, and he said they had found some things in their intermediate programs they thought was really going to show up when they started getting on these bigger tracks.
Well, Logano led that one. Let's hope the finish looks like that later today, huh?
Good chance of that.
Yeah.
You see Stenhouse trying to give a little bit of a push to Allgaier to try to push him by Logano.
Hang on. Little thank you wave. And Justin Allgaier goes to the point.
This car's really going through the center of the corner well here today, Allgaier. He's really able to make up a lot of time on that. Gives up a little bit on the exit by running that lower line, but really doing good through the center.
By the way, it was the 81 car of Jason Bowles that scraped up the right side fender a little bit off of turn 2 a minute ago. Here goes Joey Logano back after Allgaier for the lead. Chevy, Toyota, Ford, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's showing some strength right there from Logano to be able to hold that low line and actually pull Allgaier on the straightaway.
So Logano back to the point. Going to get a little ground on second place now as Stenhouse is going to come up, put a little pressure on Allgaier. Brad Keselowski hasn't really made up any ground on these front runners either. He's still back in 6th position. It is Joey Logano pacing the way as we close in on the midway point of today's race in Southern California. Tomorrow, the new season begins for the Eyes on IndyCar Series on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. Dario Franchitti begins his quest for a 5th Series championship. Will Power and Ryan Briscoe lead a Penske sweep of the front row. Should be a great race. The Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, 12:30 Eastern, Sunday on ABC. Well, how about a little hit or miss racing? here at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. We'll show you one hit and one miss. It does involve that yellow car of Sam Hornish Jr. and the 43 of Michael Annett.
They've been going at it. You can see Hornish now. There's your hit. And there's your miss. They're still going at it.
Yeah. That's for 14th and 15th place. Yo.
Yeah, Annett does a good job. You can hear him get out of the throttle there to avoid the conflict.
Yep. And that on the lead lap, by the way, for those drivers. Cole Witt, 88. Kenny Wallace, 09. James Busher, 30. All lead lap. Racing for 11th, 12th, and 13th there. Yo, hang on there, Cole.
Yeah, that's a tough position to be in right there. Kenny Wallace, the veteran of that group, taking advantage of his experience going around.
Now
the
watch
high
this.
side.
Watch this momentum from Hornish. While they're doing that, he's getting the big run off turn 2 on the top.
Wow. Clear.
Man, passed one and got another one for change. Maybe get another one here.
He's used every inch of this racetrack so far today now.
And even wanted a couple of more inches a couple times.
He's widened the groove a little bit off turn 2.
Yeah.
I'd say he's leaving it all on the track today.
Right side of the screen, there's your lead. Joey Logano, 18. Justin Allgaier tracking him down. Logano had gotten away. Allgaier's chased him back. And left side, James Busher and Sam Hornish.
Man, that was a good job right there. He didn't back off a lick, did he?
This young man, he's not afraid to push the pedal and hang on to it, hang it out a little bit. Just does a really, really solid job for this race team. Mentioned in qualifying show that saw a couple of his sponsor people yesterday talk about how impressed and excited they are to have Justin as a part of their organization. What a great job he does on and off the track for them.
It's been really interesting how Allgaier's been a little stronger than Logano at certain times or certain sections of the track, and then Logano regroups, tries a different line, gets away. Then Allgaier tries a different line, closes back in.
Yeah, and the whole thing really comes down more times than not is just getting the air that you need on your car. And that's not just the front. The front's the most important sometimes, but you got to get that air to it and be able to take advantage of that. And you can see Allgaier now moving down, trying to get that air to where he can make a run on it. Logano pretty smart, though. He saw that Allgaier was running him down using that higher line. So he moved up there, took that spot away from him, said there's 4 more lanes if you want to run. Now they go all the way to the bottom.
4 more and the apron.
I'll see your lane and take mine too. That's good racing. And you see they put a little bit of a gap on third place Ricky Stenhouse Jr. All right, try it again, Justin.
Well, I tell you, Allgaier's really good down in 1 and 2, Alan. You were bringing that up, but his car really gets set and turned where he can get back into throttle.
Clear up.
But then it's like...
Got loose on that seam, dang it. You're 9 ahead, slow.
It's like at this part of the racetrack, Logano gets a run off of 4, just enough to hold him off.
Yeah, looks like Allgaier really drives it in turn 3 pretty hard. You have to be careful not to overdrive that. You'll lose your momentum getting off the corner. But you heard Justin Allgaier talk about he got on that seam, and what happens, you get your, whether it's the front or the rear tire, is going to determine which way is going to make your car go. But either one is not a good situation. You'll see right here in a second, those seams aren't just now with the racetrack and the racing groove. They go across there, too, where some cracks have come up. They've had to fill those, too.
And with Allgaier running that extreme low line, he has to cross those seams entering and exiting the corners, all of them.
Past halfway. Pretty good racing for the top spot. Brad Keselowski led the early portion of the race. Problems on his pit stop kicked him back in traffic. Logano and Allgaier have been swapping the top spot since. Still a long way to go, though, today in California. Looking Racing down on the Auto Club Speedway of Southern California from our aerial coverage, brought to you by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Everything we've learned making tires for one of racing's most grueling proving grounds inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Danica Patrick's car back in the garage. Driver not on board. Just after that, the only restart we've had in the race. Problems reported.
Clear. Inside on the corner here. 2 inside there. 2 inside. Everything's fair. Front end. 2 inside. Pulling a boat. That's your door. Bumper. Still there. You're cleared. You're clear.
Well, 7 car has been reported out of the race with problems. Mike Massaro is with the driver.
And Danica has collected her thoughts and has stepped outside of a race car. When did you start to feel it fail?
I only felt it fail on the front straightaway where it died, and then I pitted that lap. But earlier in the race, the water pressure went to 0 and started flashing. I got something through the front grill, and it went into the radiator, so it lost the water. And the Hendrick guys were just explaining to me that when the water goes away, there's no heat that heats the engine up, so then it gets to the coolant, and the coolant cools it down. So my oil temperature actually went down to like 165, and that's supposed to be 220 or 240. So it's just a chain of events that happens. So it's nothing that it's not the engine problem. It's not really anything. It's just a bad luck situation, and I feel like it's been a little bit of a tough start for the GoDaddy car this year, but I don't know. I have to imagine that it's for a better reason and that it'll turn for me at some point, and perhaps it'll be a really awesome end to the season. But it's just it's a shame to keep getting knocked down like this. But nothing of anybody's fault. We were just working with the car, trying to get it back, and actually had a decent restart there, and we were racing for the lucky dog. And when you're on the lead lap here, anything can happen on a restart. So we were just trying to get to that position, but unfortunately cut a little short.
Alan, as you heard her say, just summing it up to bad racing luck, but still pretty optimistic about what the season might hold.
Something went through the radiator or the cooler. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, that's about that water pressure. That's what they have that gauge for, so they can see if make sure that they still have pressure there to know that all the coolant is still in the system. Once you lose it, I mean, it's just a chain of events that become, fatal to the engine.
Yeah, it won't show that it's running hot because there's nothing there to run hot.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of cooling, I've been keeping an eye on the front grille of that 18 car and trying to see if that's a piece of trash across the grille while we watch this race for position. 9th and 10th. Austin Dillon 3, Trevor Bayne 60. And Dillon's going to slide up and hang on to that spot for the time being. Quickly closing on green flag pit stops as well. And see that Bayne goes back by him again. That's good racing today here in California. Caution's out in the Royal Purple 300. Sam Hornish with a spin off of turn number 4, a solo spin. He has driven away, and the pace car has picked up the field. Getting ready to bring everybody to pit road for a second time in this race. It's been a tough day for Sam.
He's certainly made it exciting, I'll tell you that. He's really been exploring the outsides of the groove here today.
And none of those marks on that side were from that spin right there. He didn't hit anything.
Yeah.
Amazingly.
Had an opportunity to. A couple. We'll show you that in a second. First, the leaders are coming to pit road here. Remember last stop, Brad Keselowski came in as the leader, flew too close to the wall with the left side, wound up coming out 9th. This time, Joey Logano comes down as the leader. Keselowski is in 4th. I mentioned that because his pit crew's pretty good. Let's see how these stops turn out, Dave.
Justin Allgaier is second, upper left of your screen. They'll take on 4 tires. He screams to a stop, still in his pit box, 4 tires and a wedge adjustment. Shannon?
Brad Keselowski in his pit box, a little diagonal this time, guys, but it looks like the guys are going to come around to the left side. They are going to make no changes on this car the entire race, just 4 tires. As far as Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he's no right side grip. He said the track bar has got to go down and a wedge adjustment. Doc.
13.7 seconds, Joey Logano, 4 tires, a little bit of air pressure. I need to take off a little better. The car was a little bit free also on exit.
Well, Logano, Allgaier hold. Nice gain for Brendan Gaughan.
Keselowski loses 5 more.
Kind of looked like more of the same.
Almost looked like a replay.
Exactly, yeah. So, caution out for the second time in the race after Sam Hornish Jr. went for a wild ride in turn 4. Watch this. I got it. Whoa, don't go that way. No. Okay.
Good recovery.
Yeah. And he drove it away. Second yellow of the race.
Back at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California, we are 55 laps to go. If you've just joined us, this is the Ram race rundown. Kyle Busch had to start 43rd because he missed driver intros, but he's on the move, and right now up into 5th.
Oh, yeah, I tell you, after about 8 laps, he was already up to 23rd. Like you say, he has mowed the field down in good position.
Brad Keselowski, strong very early on, but some pit issues of his own doing.
Has had 2 just horrible pit stops and overshot the pit the last time, got himself cocked in there sideways. You see it right here. Put himself in a bad spot, lost a ton of position. He was fast early, but keeps giving it back.
You know who else is fast? The team that has dominated at this racetrack, Joe Gibbs Racing. Both Joey Logano and Brian Scott on the move.
Joey Logano's been stout, led 58 laps so far, along with Brian Scott. He's been up front all day as well.
Danica Patrick, issues on the last restart, behind the wall, in the garage, an engine.
Sounds like something went through the radiator, Nicole, and actually let all the fluid out, drops the oil pressure. So, yeah, she's got an engine problem. She's done today.
Get ready for the restart, so let's go back upstairs to Alan.
All right, Nicole, thanks. Kind of eventful so far through the first 2/3 of this race. Free pass, Mike Bliss, 17 cars on the lead lap. Brad Keselowski back in 9th again, like he was after the last set of pit stops. And Joey Logano this time going to take the inside lane for the restart as you look at the lead cars getting ready for the restart.
Well, the outside didn't work last time, so he'll try this.
Kyle Busch trying to get second from Brendan Gaughan, 54-33.
Allgaier just did not go on that start. It's almost like he didn't even pull up in line before they went green. But look at Kyle, all the way down to the apron.
Well, he's getting the most out of this car right now while the tires are good and fresh on it. I don't think Kyle can stay up here. I don't think he has the car to be able to do that, but he's using his talent in the tires right now to even make this run.
If he wins this race, do we consider it an upset?
I think so, yes, because this is truly a nationwide only team. They don't have really any cup affiliation, so I think it would be somewhat of an upset, even though Kyle Busch has won so many of these races. It still would be a big accomplishment at any rate.
How about Brendan Gaughan up there? Doing a great job here today in this Richard Childress car.
Highest running of the RCR fleet today. Gaughan fighting Kyle Busch for that second spot. Behind them, 31 Allgaier, 6 Stenhouse.
And this is where Brendan Gaughan made his first Nationwide Series start. Made about 72 of them. His first one came here, 2001.
See, Kyle realized right then that Ricky Stenhouse had a huge run on him. They will pull down out of the way. He realized he doesn't need any contact. He doesn't need any problems. He needs to run a full race here and get the most out of this today.
And by the way, his pit crew's done a phenomenal job on stops for him in that 54. Dave, if we would consider it an upset if Kyle Busch were to win today, he's sure given it a good try.
There's so many ways to look at this story, including the fact that when you have Kyle Busch as a driver, you can overcome a lot of things. But Mike Beam told me he's told Kyle that he doesn't need to overdrive this car right now in terms of where they are as a team. He said, in fact, after Vegas, where Kyle spun and wrecked the car, he told Kyle, you don't do that when we haven't given you a good enough car. Kyle was very upset with himself, but Mike backed him up and said, we did not give you the car. So today, as he tries to stay near the front, you guys have already addressed it, he'll only give that as much as the car will handle.
Well, from starting at the back of the field, for missing his assigned slot in driver introductions, charging up into the top 15 in the opening laps, his pit crew gaining spots on every stop.
One thing Kyle's good at, though, is really dissecting how his car's handling and telling his crew and crew chief what to do on these stops to adjust for it. And Mike Beam is a veteran himself. He knows what to do to adjust his car to make it do what Kyle's asking it to do.
Now, speaking of adjusting and rising and falling, 31 car there. Justin Allgaier was racing with Joey Logano for the lead a minute ago. Now he finds himself back in 5th and racing for that spot with Elliott Sadler.
Yeah, it looks like he's got his hands full with this race car this time. I don't know if it's a set of tires or an adjustment that they made, but really doesn't seem to be to Justin's liking.
Oh, Stenhouse got a good run here in that 6.
Yeah, it looks like he's got this car to his liking right now. And here comes Kyle Busch following along too.
For the lead, Logano 18, Stenhouse 6, Busch 54, Gone 33.
You know, that race that Stenhouse won in Las Vegas, he didn't show everything that he had or didn't get that car right until it was time to go win. 3 wide off of 2 now.
And into 3.
Watch Kyle Busch go to the apron and get to the front right here.
Which lane's going to go?
It's like Stenhouse is going to get that point. First lap he's led today.
Yeah, in his mind, that's the point back that he saw Elliott Sadler get on him a little while ago. He's very much aware of that situation. Now it's all about winning the race, getting maximum points.
We'll have a lot of company at the front here in a minute.
Allgaier coming back into the picture. Brendan Gaughan is closed up while those 3 race 3 wide. Here goes Logano. He'll try the bottom this time.
I don't think these Cup guys don't realize, too, that they haven't won one of these nationwide races this year.
Oh, there you go. Good job. A real good job.
Joe Gibbs Racing, 7 straight wins at this one racetrack. All the different drivers that have done that for them. And here's a team, Joe Gibbs Nationwide Series team. Who's that, Brian Scott?
Yeah, he's up there next to the wall.
Speaking of Joe Gibbs Nationwide team, here's a team that lost its way, lost its advantage a little bit in the transition from the, oh, caution's coming out.
Yellow's out. Caution's out, debris coming off of 4, keep it out.
Hey, you heard it. All right, come back to that story about the Gibbs team in a minute. Let's see, been about 10 laps since they pitted, Andy.
Yeah, but it's just inside their fuel window here to go to the end. And you know, I would really like to get that thing full of fuel.
They have to say that fuel would be it because they probably have 1 set of tires left that they might want to hold until later on.
Yeah, because if you have a late caution, it'd be very advantageous to have a set of tires laid in the pits. No tires, you can see. You can read Mike Kelly's lips. Just going to put gas in. They're going to act like they're changing tires, though. They're getting up on the wall.
I think we'll see a lot of splashing and dashing here.
Brad Keselowski worked his way back up to the 6th spot. We'll see if he can get in his pit stop. Well, of course, they're not going to be changing tires probably, so get over there closer for the gas man this time.
Well,
yeah, it might not hurt him to get a little bit close this time.
But also, if you're not changing tires, don't lock those tires up and slide them in that pit box. Then you'll be forced to take the time to change them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see. But expecting a lot of splashing and going as we work the 3rd caution of the race. Jason Bowles, 81 car, is going to get the free pass. He'll come back around and rejoin the lead lap.
Doing a nice job here again today in that 81 car.
Yeah, that 81 team has done well. They've switched to Toyotas and been running a lot better.
John Monson, the crew chief over there, longtime veteran of this series, and the Truck Series, and the Cup Series. But just don't say I called him old.
Started when he was really young.
45 to go. Pit stops, Dave.
Important for fueler Brandon Griffith to get the 54 car full for Kyle. They should be able to make it after that. 2 tires, no changes. Shannon.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. said the car was getting a little bit loose, so they are going to make a track track bar adjustment, 4 tires, and Philip Sunoco. Oh, guys, he's off pit road. Doc.
Brendan Gaughan, fuel only. He's away. Joey Logano was going to do 2 tires. They waved it off and said, no, fuel only. So he's down and gone.
Brendan gains another spot. No tires all the way back till you get to Kyle Busch, who took 2 and lost 3 spots.
Most everybody else just topping off the fuel tank. Got 45 laps to go. Who's going to win it today in Southern California? That's a good question right now. Did you get... While we work the caution, reminder that after a couple of weeks off, the NASCAR Nationwide Series goes to Texas Motor Speedway to race Friday night under the lights. It's Friday the 13th of April. Who will that be a lucky thing for? We'll have qualifying for you 5 Eastern time. Then we start our race coverage with NASCAR Countdown at 8 Eastern. You can also watch on ESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. Texas Motor Speedway in a few weeks.
You're not superstitious, are you?
I'm not, but I know plenty of racers that are. So most people on this set of pit stops here just took a splash of fuel a minute ago. Good explanation for why from Brad Keselowski and his team.
I didn't want to use our last set with 40-something to go here. You know, we get a caution in 20. I think tires will be a good thing. Yeah, I think that's a good call, bud. I'm with you. Everybody's going to be close right here. We're just going to have to save as much as we can.
Jeremy Woolens kind of summing up the situation both on why just to top it off of the fuel tanks and also why you might see some people hitting that ignition switch under this yellow.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them either shutting them off or knocking them out of gear and trying to save as much as they can under this yellow.
Mike Wallace wave around back onto the lead lap. Elliott Sadler, 13th position, but this caution perhaps a big break for the championship leader in the Nationwide Series. Doc, got that story for us?
Yeah, sure. Elliott had called in and said the water temperature was pushing 300 degrees, guys. He said he had grass on the grill, so they were trying to get some grass off, hit the back of the 31, got some of it off, got down to 270, but it wasn't getting any cooler. They were going to pit, and then the yellow came out. Big break for Elliott. They had to get the grill clean, so they went ahead and put his last set of 4-sticker tires on. Guys?
Big break right there for Elliott.
Big break and got to roll the dice, too, using your last set of tires.
We've seen him roll the dice all year, Luke Lambert.
Yep. So Sadler back in 13th position. Restart, 42 laps to go. Logano gets the jump in the 18. Keselowski fighting that 22 car in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Justin Allgaier fighting his 31 car also on this restart once again.
Comes Kyle Busch. He's got 2 fresh right side tires.
That'll leave his team with just 2 new left side tires. I think it blew up those ones they just took off. It only had about 10 racing laps.
Oh, no, hang on there. Is that Hornish again? They're 5 wide now
look
after
at
that.
Holy cow, look at that.
It was Sam.
Sam still fighting on the lead lap.
Elliott Sadler backing out. He didn't really like that position he was in there.
That is dicey.
Little 4 wide.
Sadler, the championship leader, who's talked about how they gave up big chunks of points at times last year by being conservative and being back in traffic. Well, circumstances shuffling back in traffic here.
He's got a huge run right there. He's having to get out of the throttle, which is probably not a bad thing at this point. He's needing to save a little fuel also. Pushing Brad Sweet up through there. Whoa, Brad Sweet really loose right there in front of him. Maybe a little bit too much of a push that he got there. You got to understand, when you get that big push, that's nice, but you carried more speed down into the corner.
For the lead, Kyle Busch looking on the 18 of Logano.
Looks like Mike Bean probably planning on this race going green to the end and put those right side tires on. Looks like it's working pretty good so far.
Logano hangs on to the top spot. Interesting you should say that, because for 5 of the last 6 nationwide races here, the last green flag stretch has only been 16 laps or less. but last year it was 53 laps. Which trend plays out?
I was going to say, now you got me confused.
That's right. Uh-oh.
Boys, great job all day. Sorry, sorry we didn't get the finish we deserved right there.
As Kyle Busch takes the lead, Allgaier's off the pace, Dave.
Yep, you heard it. He believes the engine is gone now, and he was reporting way freer on the restart. That's why he was losing positions at first, but then the motor went away.
That's a heartbreaker for this team. They had the best run of the year for them going.
Logano try to come back.
Wouldn't it be ironic if this streak that Joe Gibbs has gets broken by Kyle Busch with his own team?
Yeah. Don't count Stenhouse out.
See Kyle Busch not getting too far away from that 18, making it difficult for Logano
How
to get
about
the
that
run that he
crossover?
needed.
And while these guys mix it up front, look who's rejoined the picture.
There's Brad.
Brad led 33 laps earlier in this race. Made a mistake on a pit stop that dropped him back to 9th. He's been trying to dig out of the hole ever since.
See, Brendan Gaul still in the picture there in 5th spot. Has a great run so far on the RCR cars. Actually, the best RCR car today.
This is for second place. Logano 18, Stenhouse 6, Keselowski 22. Kyle Busch has won the last 3 straight Nationwide Series races at this track, all driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. The Gibbs team has won the last 7 straight. Can Kyle pull the upset? And yes, we're going to call it upset. Driving for his own team, he's come from the back to the front.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at California is brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance oil that outperforms.
And we look down on this beautiful speedway from our aerial coverage today, brought to you by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Everything we've learned making tires for one of racing's most grueling proving grounds inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. They are driving hard today at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California into the final 31 laps of today's race for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Kyle Busch, who started at the back of the pack by virtue of missing his spotted driver introductions, has come to the point. Brad Keselowski has moved around Joey Logano to second. Who's got the fuel to the finish? Will we get another caution? How's the handling going to play out if we go in the long run? Oh, there's a lot to be determined yet in this one. We go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance and try and fill in some of the blanks on those stories. David, how about this 54 car and driver?
Well, he's been asked to save a little bit of fuel, so perhaps they can make it to the end. We'll update that as time goes on. But Mike Beam told me this week he got on his crew for things that happened last week. Not that they lost a position or two on pit road, but leaving a wheel loose. He said, you are professional athletes. I expect more out of you. Today, they have nailed it, and they've gotten Kyle positions and kept him up front. Dr. Punch?
Joey Logano has been asked to save a little fuel and be very patient. It looked like we heard the patient part on the radio a moment ago. Joey knows he's got a good race car. Would like to be able to extend the Joe Gibbs streak for 8 consecutive races. Right now, having a hard time getting second spot. Shannon.
Well, Brad Keselowski goes around on the outside. Would you believe me if I told you he hasn't made one change to that car all day? Well, it's true. The only thing that's kept him from running up front the entire race is that he's had 2 poor pit stops. He restarted 9th on both of those, and you guys can see how fast he is on the track right now. The car is very good. As far as Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he's been dealing with the handling the entire race. Started loose, it went tight. They made a track bar adjustment on that last stop. But the most important thing, as far as points, is that Elliott Sadler is running behind him. You know that Stenhouse is looking for all those points as he goes for the championship. Doc.
Brendan Gaughan has a great race car. He's been a little bit free on exit. The fuel-only last stop helped the race car. Brendan had a top 5 finish with this car at Las Vegas. Hoping to get a top 5, if not better, here today. Guys?
All right, Doc, thanks. The lead pack there updated from pit road. There are a total of 18 cars on the lead lap. We've had just 3 cautions in this race. Question is, are we done seeing the yellow flag? Will we get another one later on? How's it all going to shake out?
Yeah, it's hard to tell right now who might be trying to save some fuel, because they're really going to be close to making it to the end of the race. And we can see there's some cars catching these leaders. We're going to have some more company up front. Kenny Wallace is kind of leading the charge. He's been back there running really fast laps, some of the fastest laps of the race, and Trevor Bayne as well.
There's Bayne in the 60. Kenny Wallace just behind him in the 09.
Yeah, they've done a good job adjusting Trevor Bayne's car, and you can see there is Kenny Wallace doing a great job here today. Elliott Sadler doing a little drafting right there. That can save a little bit of fuel.
So I say, you don't know exactly what these guys are doing up front to maybe try to save a little fuel, how hard they might be running.
For the lead, Brad Keselowski with a huge run off turn 2.
A little bump drafting going on.
Let's see if he hauls it off in the corner or tries to go high and take the lead right here.
You don't think he's trying to help Kyle with his fuel mileage?
I'm sure that was in his thoughts.
Look at this run. I think Keselowski's content to run right here, maybe try to save a little fuel. He's probably able to back out of the throttle just a little bit when he gets right there on the straightaway.
Let's see here right now. This has been his strong point down here in 1 and 2, where he uses that high line and gets a huge run off of turn 2 down the back straightaway.
Kyle squeezing around the lap car as well.
All right, forget saving fuel.
Well, you can do more saving when you're out front.
Yeah, you really can.
The only thing you have is, you know, you're obviously busting up that air that's right in front of you, but you can't dictate how you drive the race car there.
I'm going to wait till he gets over here to give him the lead.
He's got it this time now.
This time. Brad Keselowski back at lap 59, slid deep into his pit box, pinned the left side of his car too close to the wall. His crew couldn't get around it to change the left side tires efficiently. He lost 9 spots on the pit stop. Next pit stop, lap 93, did it again, slid into the box crookedly, a little too close to the wall with the left front, went back to 9th place again. Now he's back to the lead.
So he's back to square one, no harm, no foul.
He's had to work awfully hard to get there.
Yeah, he's still got some work to do.
Yeah, he didn't have to go back quite as far on this last restart because they just got fuel, and that got them, they actually gained a few spots there. He restarted at about the 5th spot, but he's worked his way all the way to the front now. And this hasn't been his best racetrack over the years. I mean, he had a horrific crash here and some days that he just as soon forget, but making up for it here today.
Kyle not giving it up, though. Still in the fight. Oh, he almost got clear. Not quite.
And here comes Logano. Kyle going to squeeze in front of him.
See Keselowski go down there to block a little bit of that run. Now that could cost Kyle, like he lost the front end of his car. Logano able to take second.
And the back end of Logano's wiggling off 4 as Kyle slid up behind him. Good racing for the lead in this one today. At Auto Club Speedway in Southern California, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch chasing Brad Keselowski 3 wide in 1 and 2.
Man, we got a race breaking out here, boys.
Now, if you can see right behind that shot that we showed in 1 and 2, Ricky Stenhouse coming. He had his car completely sideways and gaining on him.
It's time to go.
Kind of interesting watching Keselowski use the different lines. He was using that high lane to his advantage, and now he's all the way to the bottom. And that is the shortest way. Maybe he can save a little bit of fuel down there.
And like we saw with Logano and Allgaier when they were racing for the lead earlier, Keselowski a little better in 1 and 2. Logano gets the good run off of 4.
Well, Logano drove it in hard that time. He's going to get the lead from Keselowski.
But here comes Brad with the big run. Logano's going to slide up in front. All right, need to get one more commercial break in. A lot of good racing still to come. I don't want to miss the finish of this one. It's going to be fun. Logano leads. Keselowski second. Kyle Busch third. For now.
That was a dead heat that time.
16 thousandths of a second between them at the finish. All right, let's get back to the finish of this one. We'll take the break now and come back and see who's going to win it. Caution as we come back. Blake Koch, 41 car, spinning off turn 4. Does not hit anything. Yellow flag is out.
Took the air off you, bud.
In the Royal Purple 300, with 17 laps to go, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch putting on a terrific fight for the lead into the late stages of the event. Now we're going to reset it and do it all over again. And remember the radio traffic earlier after taking just fuel only on the last stop between Jeremy Bullins and Brad Keselowski, saving that set of tires. How many of them are going to take them here?
I think you're going to see some of them take 2 anyway. I think that's what I would like. Get some right sides right here, try to get out.
I'd take 4.
What happened to Blake Koch in the 41? Well, he was between first and second place.
Looks like he was trying to get out of the way.
Just got behind on the steering for a minute.
When I said 100%, I don't mean say fuel. Oh, here's the front of the board. Caution is out. Save it. Watch him.
All right. So Koch is driven away. A little bit of damage there. Looks like the right front tires come apart.
Yeah, he's got grass in the grill, too. They're going to have to get out. Didn't hit anything, but he's going to have some damage by the time he gets there.
And for those teams that saved that set of tires, and we heard them talk about Elliott Sadler, didn't put on tires last time. This is going to be a huge disadvantage for him now. And he was trying to save fuel and hoping that he might gain some spots and really kind of might not win the race, but still a victory of sorts by that happening. But
well, it's a gamble. I mean, they gambled that it was going to go green, and they lost, and so now they just have to make the best of it.
Doc was telling us from pit road during that commercial break about some teams that did have fuel concerns. So this
will erase that.
Will erase that. But now the pit work, and let's also mention the driver's job on the pit lane that we've seen be a factor a couple of times today.
Yeah, it's definitely been a factor for Brad Keselowski. He has really made 2 big mistakes getting his car in his pit box.
Could be critical in setting the track position to determine the outcome of this race. Pit road will be open this time. They've cleaned up and checked the debris that might have been dropped by the Blake Koch car when he spun off turn 4. Didn't want the cars running through that after they had made whatever stops they might make here. And we would call this the money stop.
Yes, we would.
Logano, Keselowski, Busch, Stenhouse, and Bain, who'd gotten all the way up to 5th. What's the strategy going to be? Will anybody make any mistakes? Here you go, Dave.
3rd place, Kyle Busch. 2 used right side tires, 2 new left side tires. He doesn't want the chassis setup changed at all. The air pressures will hopefully tighten him up just a tick. Shannon.
It was a last-minute call. Brad Keselowski wants 4 tires. Let's see if they change it as an audible. They're going to take 4 tires. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. a little bit further down, a little bit loose. He's going to go with 4 tires as well. Doc?
Right side tires. Now they made the call for 4 tires for Joey Logano. He had 35 laps on these tires. Tires are used here. They give up in a hurry. Logano gets 4 fresh ones. He is down on the way, full of fuel, guys.
And they had a problem on the left rear. They have, it looks like they may have not put on the tire that they intended to, or removed it and put on the one that was on there. We'll check.
All right, so Kyle Busch losing all kinds of ground there. Can't go any further back than 17th. That's how many cars are on the lead lap. But Trevor Bayne, little strategy call by Chad Norris and his team. Bayne's going to go to the point for this restart. Down to 13 laps to go. as the field comes around to the start-finish line in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Auto Club Speedway of Southern California. Strategy has changed the front of the leaderboard. Kyle Busch, who was at the front of the leaderboard in 3rd position, now finds himself back in 17th. There's some troubles on their pit stop as they went around to the left side of the car.
A little miscommunication here. Looks like maybe they had started out with the decision to go with 4 and then change in the middle. You can see the left rear tire changer coming around taking the lug nuts off. They have problems on the right front. It's like they probably, with that problem on the right front, decided to just go with 2, but the left rear changer had already taken the lug nuts off, so they've already lost the spots. Mike Bingham made the decision just to go ahead, jack the car up, and get left sides too. Dave?
That is it, Andy. I just confirmed with the team. The original plan was to take the 2, and when they had a right front issue, they had already spent time enough that they took the other 2 on the left side.
So 3rd to 17th for Kyle Busch for the final, what'll be 12 laps of this race. Meanwhile, strategy calls, Trevor Bayne, Elliott Sadler, Sam Hornish Jr.'s teams changing just 2 tires. They'll go to 1st, 2nd, and 4th for this restart. Mike?
Yeah, the 60 car going with right side tires only. An aggressive call and good strategy call there. It's put you out front, but will it keep you there?
We're going to try here. We were pretty quick there on 4 tires coming through the field. So we're just going to give it a whirl, see if Clean Air will be our friend here and get this thing to victory lane today.
Listen in on the 60 radio, Alan. There's been a lot of coaching coming from Eric Norris telling Trevor Bayne to get up on the wheel. They want this one.
All right, Michael, thanks. So Trevor Bayne, the new leader, has chosen the outside lane for the restart. Elliott Sadler will be on the inside lane, restarting 2nd. Then you've got Logano, the leader before the pit stops, with Hornish alongside.
We know Sam's going to be standing on the gas.
Keselowski and Gaughan and Stenhouse and Scott, Annett, Kenny Wallace. You got to go back to 17th to find Kyle Busch. 12 laps, 24 miles. How's it going to play out? Look out, look out. Wow, tight squeeze in turn 1.
It's almost like Sadler missed a gear there, so it looked like he had a good run. You see Trevor Bayne really sliding.
Got a nudge from Keselowski as Keselowski slid up the racetrack. Joey Logano through to the lead.
Kenny Wallace ducking out, making it 4 wide. Here comes Kyle.
5 wide.
Contact there between Brendan Gaughan and Sam Hornish.
Trevor Bayne sliding, hanging on in that 60 car. They'll be 4 wide again. That's Kyle Busch on the bottom. 54.
Look at Brendan Gaughan get the big run up the middle. Nowhere to go with it. Oh, got 88 car in the wall.
That's Cole Whitt. While you watch all this, Logano and Keselowski have gotten through to 1st and 2nd. Stenhouse is back to 3rd. Elliott Sadler shuffled to 4th. And the way that 60 car is sliding around and the way they're bouncing off each other, we'll be lucky if we don't see the caution before this thing's done. Kenny Wallace to the apron around Kyle Busch, or trying to anyway. 09 car.
Brad Sweet in that 38 just hanging over dear life, but driving the wheels off of it.
Yeah, he's doing a great job so far. Well, he's in a hornet's nest now, though.
Austin Dillon looking for some running room in that 3. Close call there.
I think Trevor Bayne gave him a break right there.
It's going to cost Trevor.
This is for 2nd spot. Keselowski 22, Stenhouse Jr. 6.
Look at Kenny Wallace now. Man, he has been aggressive on this run.
To borrow one of Kenny's favorite phrases, he's a race driver.
He is a race driver right now.
See Michael Annett in that mix in the 43 having a good run today.
Showing 13th right now.
That could change any minute, though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but you said it. Cole Witt off the pace in the 88 after scrubbing the wall there a minute ago. Second place still, 22-6. Keselowski and Stenhouse. That side-by-side racing allowing Logano to inch away.
Yeah, Joey Logano smiling inside the cockpit of that 18 car, watching these guys race side by side.
'88 car will make it back around to pit road. Will stay under green for now. I will say this. Hard, aggressive racing inside these cars today. James Buescher's 30, Sam Hornish Jr. 12, 12th and 13th on the lead lap. Hornish went for a spin earlier after bouncing off the wall a couple of times. Kept it on the lead lap. And he's still out there wheeling it. '44, Mike Bliss. Trevor Baynes, 60. Bliss on the lead lap. Got a free pass earlier. And there's your gap. First to second to third.
And there's the other Joe Gibbs car, Brian Scott, fourth spot across the line.
How about Brad Sweet coming in this 38 car? He was a lap down at one point in this race. Got the free pass. It's been sideways a lot of this. Just drove into the 5th spot.
And Austin Dillon right there with him in the 3. Those yellow stripes on the back bumper, if you're new to NASCAR, signifying a driver's never raced at this track before in this series. 11 of those in this race today. Some of them doing a great job, like Dillon and Sweet.
Yeah, these are cars that had tires there left over, and it would have put those on and make the most of it. But both of these were back kind of in that hornet's nest where they were 4 and 5 wide at times.
Here's the early season championship leader, Elliott Sadler, restarted on the front row after his team just went for 2 tires on that last pit stop. He's been shuffled back to 7th.
Yeah, those 2 tires even had to be tires that they took off earlier. They were completely out of new tires.
And racing there for a spot with Kenny Wallace in the 09, Kyle Busch in the 54 right behind them.
Man, there has to be a company out there somewhere that could get a lot of mileage out of Kenny Wallace and this race team. Just to put some dollars behind this. I mean, they work so hard, and Kenny does such a great job of driving. Has this car up in the top 10 most every race. Done a solid job here today, so hopefully in this 2-week break, somebody will come across with some dollars for him.
The owner, Robbie Benton, and that race team really putting forth a first-rate effort. Kyle Busch trying to get one back. 3rd to 17th on the pit stop a minute ago after the miscommunication and the trouble. He may not win this race, but he sure knew he was here today.
Well, he passed a lot of cars.
More than anybody. Started at the back of the field, if you weren't with us earlier, for not being in his assigned place in driver introductions. Charged up into the top 15 in the opening laps. Every pit stop gained ground, and that's the real shame of the troubles they had on the last pit stop. Every stop today gained ground until the hiccup on the last one. 33, Brendan Gaughan. 43, Michael Annett for 10th and 11th place.
Solid run by both of these drivers once again today. Brendan Gaughan's been up in the top 5 a lot of the day.
Well, what can you say about Joe Gibbs Racing? Certainly the dominant team in the NASCAR Nationwide Series in the last several years. But when they changed from the older style race car to the next generation race car, they struggled a little bit to maintain their pace that they'd had before. It's fair to say the other teams caught up with them. And for Joe Gibbs, he's used this nationwide program over the years as a farm system, if you will, developing talent for his NASCAR Sprint Cup teams, from drivers to crew members to crew chiefs. The guys that were his crew chiefs in this nationwide series a couple of years ago, they're in the Sprint Cup series now. They told me, Brian Scott told me yesterday here, that he felt like the Gibbs team had found something in their setups, in their research for this, that brought them back up to be competitive with the Childress cars and the Roush Fenway cars, and Logano sure showing it today.
Yeah, they might have to rename the trophy for this race the Joe Gibbs Trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have probably lost some money if you were going to give me the other 41 and break this streak, but it's been pretty amazing.
Final lap for Joey Logano, a guy himself who's struggled a little bit adapting along with his team to this next generation race car. Only one of his wins has come in this style of race car, and that was at Daytona, which is a little bit different style of racing than most. But boy, he has been up on the wheel here today. He had to fight hard for the lead in this one. The all-time series record for consecutive wins by a team at a track extended by one. The 8th time in a row Joe Gibbs Racing wins in Southern California. Joey Logano to the checkered flag first.
You're the man, Joe. I'm proud of you, buddy.
This for 14th and 15th side by side. Trevor Bayne going to hang on over Jason Bowles. Remember, Bayne led at that last restart that came with 12 laps to go.
That strategy play didn't pay off for that team, the 60 team with Trevor Bayne. What a great leader, Joe Gibbs, celebrating with his team.
That's just amazing. 8 in a row at this racetrack in this series.
Yeah, baby! Woo! Yeah!
All right, while Logano gets set to burn it down in celebration, David is with the coach.
One for the record books, and Coach had an inspirational moment with the team just a moment ago. What kinds of things are you going to tell them following this?
No, I just had a quick prayer, just thanking the Lord for helping us today to be the best we could be. We had new sponsors on there, Translux, Spirion. We're just really excited for all of our guys, and Joey did a great job today. I think everybody did. It's great being out here in L.A. We appreciate our fans out here, and it was a great day.
What is it about this track, your organization, and it doesn't seem to matter which driver?
No, I think it does matter. I think we've worked real hard with our program. Nationwide for us, it took a lot. We worked extremely hard, and I think we got a good group put together.
Congratulations.
It's exciting. Everybody back home, we appreciate everybody. Motor Shop, everybody back there, Fab Shop, everybody. JD, everybody at home, thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach. Hey, I think he's a little excited about this. What do you guys think?
I think winning never gets old.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
And this is the 69th time Joe Gibbs Racing has won in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Pretty amazing. And for Joey Logano, his second win in 7 tries in this series at this racetrack. We'll hear from him in victory lane in a moment. First, let's hear from some of the other top finishers. Shannon?
Well, you guys worked on that car all day. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the handling seemed to go both ways, tight and loose. Did you think you'd be here in second place during that time?
I knew if we kept working on it, Mike Kelly and the guys were going to make good calls and get it closer. We were back and forth, loose, tight, and there at the end, last couple runs, we were just a little too tight with our Roush. Everybody had 25 years of winning Mustang. I was hoping we could get another win. Second isn't too bad, I don't guess, but I got to thank Nationwide Insurance. Just everybody that helps us out with this deal. Cargill Beef, NOS, Valvoline. It was a great day, great points day, and good momentum going into 2 off weekends.
Thanks, Ricky. Mike?
And Brad Keselowski bringing home third. It seemed like that final restart, things got a little bit crazy there. How would you describe it?
Yeah, sure. That's the way it's always going to be when you got cars up front without tires, cars behind with tires. That's just good, hard racing. And I gave Joey a good push, and I guess helped him get the win a little bit earlier, or get to the lead a little bit earlier. But I got in the 60 just a little bit there. I was there, and he came down a little bit. And it wasn't anything terrible. I hope he's all right with it. But yeah, just good racing there all day here at California. I think the Nationwide cars put on an awesome show here, the way they draft and get around here. This is one of the best races of the year for the Nationwide Series, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Another strong run for the 22 car, Shannon.
I know you guys have had a difficult season so far, Brian Scott. Great run for you guys, finished in the top 5. Talk me through your day.
I'm proud of everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing. What a great day to win the race and second car to finish top 5.
I'm just proud. I wanted so badly to get a good finish for these DG guys, everybody at Dollar General, Rick, Laura, the whole staff over there. They've been so supportive throughout so much bad luck early on, and we had such a fast car at Vegas and we're leading, and to have that disappointment, and it just feels good to bring home a 4th place finish for these guys. Everybody at Toyota in their backyard, just really proud and couldn't be happier.
Great day for Joe Gibbs Racing. Alan?
Well, one streak continues while another ends. The Joe Gibbs Racing streak of winning in the Nationwide Series here at this track continues. Kyle Busch offering his congratulations to the coach for his victory. And the streak that ended, a Sprint Cup driver's back in victory lane in the Nationwide Series. Joey Logano is getting ready to celebrate. Dr. Jerry Punch is there.
Joey Logano climbing out with the steering wheel, and the crowd responding with applause and a shower. Joey's 10th career victory, his 2nd at Auto Club Speedway, and the streak continues for Joe Gibbs Racing. 8 in a row here. High fives and hugs. Let's get in here to Joey. Joey, congratulations. Hey, what was the key to this impressive performance for you today?
Man, Adam Stevens had gave me a great car, man. That's awesome. That was a class of the field all day. They had plenty of shots at me. Restarts were hairy. I was good for a few laps, and I'd fall off, and then my car would come back. So, man, that was awesome. A lot of fun, too. I ran this Translux car for one race here and get them a win. Obviously, I think GameStop and Dollar General, Sport Clips, all the guys that help us out on the Nationwide side here, and Home Depot, all those guys. So it's good to finally be back in victory lane, man. It means a lot to win these things.
Means a lot to Joe Gibbs organization. 8 in a row. What a streak for one team here at a racetrack. Alan?
And the celebration is on for Joey, the Joe Gibbs team, and Toyota. You heard mentioned a minute ago, their home track just up the road from their United States headquarters. So it's on to spring break for the Nationwide Series after the opening 5-week stretch that's seen them crisscross the country. Couple of weekends off to regroup. And then it's on to Texas Motor Speedway for Friday the 13th. Little primetime action. Then Richmond later in the month, also another Friday night under the lights race. And on to Talladega to start the month of May. All those races have tickets available if you'd like to join us at the track. NASCAR.com/tickets. More post-race coverage, more of the top finishers in today's race. David, who you got?
Well, I got Brad Sweet, but he's talking to Casey Kane over here, and Casey, wanted to give Brad his time in the sun because he's had all this before. But you were racing there at the end, man, and came home 6th.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm pretty happy. Goal was to get, Sam lead lap and run, close to 10th was the goal. So we achieved that, and we were competitive at the end of that race. It was fun. The splitter was on the track way too hard at the beginning of the race. And I'm just so new to this stuff, I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And Mike Shiplett and the guys diagnosed it and got the splitter off the ground, and we were really fast, from that point on, and got those tires at the end, and we were able to make a run up to 6. So I'm really happy.
So I know you don't think that you've got this all figured out yet, though, but I mean, at the end of the race, the ability to race the car there, that must have been really fun for you.
Yeah, it was a blast to be that competitive and race, guys like Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon and all the guys that, just to be competitive and be racing those guys was fun. I just have to thank Great Clips for the opportunity to do this, and I'm just really excited, and got 17 more, so bring it on.
Brad Sweet is here, and he is fast. Mike Massaro?
It was an interesting day, to say the least, for Austin Dillon. He had a flat tire in qualifying, and after the 2nd stop of the day, take a look at this splitter. It's sheared off here on the corner, and that's not what you want to see out of your race car. Still, you brought it home in the top 5. How were you able to do that?
Well, 4 tires at the end was huge, and really, I'm not notorious for restarts, and actually had a good one there at the end, so I'm proud of that. I got frustrated in the middle of the race, just couldn't find a line that my car worked in, and my guys on pit road did a great job. I want to thank all our sponsors, Advocare, American Ethanol, Bass Pro Shops, and Nationwide Insurance for letting us have this great series to run in.
You mentioned the frustration. In times like that, it's easy to lose your composure. How were you able to keep it?
I have a great team behind me, and they really kept me focused and told me we were doing a good job. That's our first time here, so we worked on it, learned all race long, and, champions, they don't get frustrated, so you got to really focus and do your job when it comes down to it.
And Austin Dillon certainly did his job, guys, bringing home 5th.
Michael, thank you. We've heard from the top 6 finishers today as the pictures and the interviews continue in victory lane. Let's look at the final results from this 5th race of the season, the 300-miler here in Southern California. Joey Logano keeps the streak going for Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yeah, pretty impressive run, so just like we saw from Brad Sweet, that was just incredible. Kenny Wallace, another great run for him.
Yeah, our points leader, Elliott Sadler, back in 9th, lost some of his points lead down to 18 now.
Gave up about 7 spots. And the final lead lap car was 18th place, Mike Wallace. And those the top 20 finishers from today's race. Dale mentioned Elliott Sadler, championship leader. Dave is with him.
And top 10 for him, but obviously wanted more than that today, Elliott. Where was the day going wrong?
Well, we were just a little tight today, but we got grass on the grill, and we needed to come in and take time and clean it. We put 4 tires on, and we did that with, 40-some laps to go. That caution was 17 laps to go, the 41 car when he spun. That just killed us. We had no more tires. We was in really good till then. We were saving fuel the first part of that run. We won't have plenty to go after them at the end, and we were really, really fast. So that took away our top probably 3 or 4 finish. But honestly, to finish 9th, the way our day went and the way we were on older tires at the end, we'll take that and move on. I just really appreciate Pierre Drive-Thru Sandwiches for being on our car this weekend and with the donation in the name of Autism Speaks. And we'll learn and move on from there. But anytime you fuss about a 9th place finish, your year's going pretty good.
Good perspective from the championship leader, Alan.
There you go, Dave. So Elliott Sadler maintaining the early season pace where the championship is concerned as the Nationwide Series heads to spring break for the next couple of weekends. Thoughts on what you saw here today in Southern California?
Oh, fantastic racing. You know, so many times we get here and somebody kind of runs away with the show, but we saw great racing up front.
Yeah, this is one of the raciest tracks on the Nationwide Series schedule.
8 in a row at this track for the coach, Joe Gibbs. Joey Logano celebrates the win today. Friday the 13th, our next race, Texas Motor Speedway. Sports Center is next. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
Somewhere between the cutthroat world of Hollywood and the harsh environment of the high desert exists a place even more vicious.
That one's my bad, guys.
Where danger lurks around every turn and where dreams come true for only one.